How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the 2021 International Clash, Game 5, sponsored by Fire 2 Tournaments. I'm Eric, or nerdcube, and I'm joined here by Evan, or barnawal. How's it going, Evan?
It's going good, Eric. Excited to be here. It's my first time commentating, so I'm curious to see what it's like on this side of things, and I'm looking forward to it. And really just excited for hopefully another great game here.
Yeah, it's exciting to have you on. I think, it's exciting for you to be my casting partner. I think we are the distinguished members of the finished in second place in a Fire 2 Open by playing Alchemists in the finals. We're the sole members of that club, so you guys got a treat today. Yeah, I'm super excited for these games too, or for this game. We've got a lot on the line here. We have everyone, is able to clinch the home field advantage for the finals. So yeah, like it's a really exciting high stakes game. Like we've seen such high level games so far. Every game in the International Clash has had some like really special things going on, and I think we've really seen the difference of seeing four high level players be able to collaborate on a game plan. Like there's no one missing their lines, miscounting resources, not able to finish a town. Like these games have been such high level all the way through.
Yeah, I think every game so far has been at least 130 points and over for every team in each game, which is always a solid Terra Mystica score. I think if you score 130 plus. And so yeah, it's really cool to see kind of how the level of play is elevated, especially even compared to the Fire 2 Open tournament that happened recently. But this is definitely a step up from that.
Yeah. So last week we saw Team USA. We're up in Team USA this week. We saw Team USA pull out the big win and keep USA in contention for that first spot. I guess I think we needed a strong week last week to prevent Europe or Asia from just running away with it. And last week we also saw Brazil unfortunately lose their spot. They've played all four of their weeks so far and don't have enough points to keep up. So here you can see the standings. So this week we've got Canada, USA, Europe, and Asia playing. Europe's currently in the lead with 12 points. USA second with 10. Asia third with 9. Canada fourth with 6. And like I said, Brazil has already played all four of their weeks, so they will unfortunately not be advancing to the finals. But yeah, this point standings for everyone else means that everyone has a shot at clinching first place after this group stage and taking home field advantage into the finals. So yeah, Canada needs a very specific set of events to happen. I think they need to finish first, and Europe needs to finish fourth, and US needs to finish third, and they need to win a bunch of tiebreakers. But it can happen, and they're at their home field this week. We're on Canada's home settings. So for this week, they chose base map with landscapes on. So we've seen base map once before, but we're playing with landscapes on this week. So yeah, what do you think about that? Do you think there's any? You have any thoughts behind why they chose that format?
I don't really. I mean, despite I'm from Canada, but I have no insight in the team, so I can't really say I have any specific thoughts. I know Danny B is leading this team for Canada. I think he's pretty experienced, and maybe he played a lot in the arena season that was a couple seasons ago that had base map and landscape, so maybe that's why they chose it. So I don't have any particular insight, but I definitely think Canada's a shot with the talent in their team. I don't have a Team Canada shirt, unfortunately, but I do have a hockey sweater, so I'm wearing that to represent Canada, of course, my country. So yeah, no, go Canada. That's all. I think they have a good shot. I'm ready for it.
This is going to be a biased cast, forewarning.
Yeah,
there might be some rooting going on, but I mean, maybe we'll talk about Asia and Europe once in a while too.
no, more than anything, I'm just excited to see a good game of Terra Mystica.
All right, so we're ready to jump into the game here, and we're going to get a video from Team Canada first. So with that, let's go for the Fire 2 or the International Clash Game 5. All right, here we go. That was a sweet video, by the way. We didn't get to hear it with the audio, so I'm excited to watch that afterwards. But awesome work by Zoris on those visuals. That was pretty hype. Okay, so we're jumping into the setup. And first thing off the bat, we got round 6 towns. I'm pumped. I think I know I've talked before on some broadcasts that I always like high scoring setups, right? Setups where the more skilled team can really shine through because there's just a huge ability for them to score points throughout the game. And so putting together a cool game plan will really be rewarded. And round 6 towns are exactly that kind of high scoring. So that's the first thing I'm noticing here is that hopefully we can see a really cool high scoring game here. So anything else about the setup you want to break down, Evan?
Yeah, well, the first thing you notice is always the round 6 town round, and you'd think that means a high scoring setup, but I think it's a bit misleading here because if you look at the other aspects of the setup, and particularly look at the bonus card, there's only one victory point bonus in, which is the ship pass bonus. The other 3 are all missing, which is pretty rare. You don't see that too often. And that generally leads to lower scoring games, as well as the rest of the track isn't, at least I don't think it's particularly high scoring. You see the multiple big building rounds in rounds 3 and 5, which aren't really high scoring rounds. The dwelling round in round 4 can be turned into a pretty high scoring round, but there isn't really a lot of other potential scoring avenues here aside from those round 6 towns. So I think at first glance, maybe it looks high scoring because of that, but I think when you look a little more deeply, you start to see kind of a different game than you think you originally did at the start.
Yeah, that's definitely true. I got a little prematurely excited, I guess. But yeah, I mean, so pointing out, what you said, the fact that the shipping bonus is the only one in the game, the fact that we have around 6 towns, to me off the bat, that says mermaids have a pretty explosive potential here. They're the ones that can take advantage of not scoring their towns until round 6, really easily. Most other factions just often accidentally make a town at some point before then. But mermaids can very intentionally keep their towns from being formed, and they're the ones that can hit that shipping bonus. So yeah, I expect we'll see mermaids put into this. It seems like a good setup for them. It seems like, in one of the early seats, there's a good chance that, the temp shipping bonus tile, lands to mermaids. And they can make really good advantage of that. So we see Ornn with the first pick, though.
That's interesting.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I definitely wouldn't expect to see Ornn, especially from Team Europe, because I think for the most part, the factions selected here in the international class are the more standard factions, with the exception, I think, of Team Asia, which has chosen Ornn and Halflings and a couple of weird picks. But I think Europe's factions have most of them been pretty standard they've chosen. So yeah, Ornn's a surprise to me. The cults look good for them, though. Definitely the double up cult rewards in fire and air. Ornn can probably take advantage of that pretty well, as well as the stronghold kind of event in round 3. It's probably a natural time for them to build their stronghold. So I think it makes sense. I'm not an Ornn expert by any means, so I'm kind of curious to see how it goes for them here.
Yeah, I wonder if, we might be seeing people try to get an edge with specific knowledge of landscapes. Even when people play with landscapes on, we often tend to see a lot of the same factions. There's still, we saw last week's game was, a landscapes game, and yet we saw 4 of the least consequential landscapes in the game. Nomads, engineers, mermaids is now not very consequential, and darklings. So yeah, so we just saw 4 not very consequential landscapes. So people still tend to play the same factions even when there's powerful landscapes in the game. But so this might be, Team Europe trying to take advantage of they feel that they have a very good valuation of how good the Ornn's landscape is. So for those who don't know, the Ornn's landscape is the Tree of Serenity. And it makes it so that whenever they advance to the 10 spot of a cult, they get 4 points. So that actually gives them some inherent scoring. We were talking about this is a bit of a low scoring setup. So maybe they feel that, other players are going to misevaluate that, how powerful that landscape can be. If Ornn are able to get a 2-key town and just play a really strong cult game, we see Alchemist here as the second pick. So that further increases the chances that Ornn are able to play a strong cult game. Yeah, so maybe someone thinks that they can get, a really strong read on just how good Ornn are compared to the rest of the table.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I mean, Ornn are quite a bit stronger with their landscape. It doesn't make them on par with witches, but it kind of makes up for the natural victory points that witches get by forming towns that Ornn can get now from winning cults. And again, in this game, it makes sense to play culty, I think, looking at the track. Yeah, Alchemist is interesting too at the second pick, just because it is kind of limited for scoring aside for those round 6 towns. It looks it looks like it'd be challenging for me as if I was playing Alchemist here. Like I would feel nervous off the bat picking Alchemist at least. I think you'd really have to make sure you get the shipping bonus as Alchemist. Otherwise, yeah, otherwise it'd be hard to score enough, I think, to maybe make up for the victory point deficit that their ability kind of puts them in sometimes. But I like them. You know, we both like Alchemist, or I do at least. We both played them in the finals, as we
Yep.
said. They're always fun to watch. They're always exciting, that's for sure, I think.
We'll see who falls for the trap here of bidding too much on
Yeah.
Alchemist. I know I've done it. Yeah, I do think like this track is a fairly good track for them. Like not amazing, but like it would be, the fact they could build a temple in round 1. They like to build their stronghold in round 3. They like to get out a lot of dwellings in the 4th round, and they could build a few towns in the last round. But yeah, I agree. Yeah, like usually so much of Alchemist's game is about getting on those scoring bonus tiles, and if they're not able to do that here because there's so much competition over the one bonus tile, that's going to be pretty rough for them.
Yeah, they're definitely they're the ultimate high risk high reward faction, the ultimate glass cannon. It could either go amazingly well or terribly bad, or anything in between. Who knows with Alchemist, really?
Yeah.
There are some. I mean, I guess it is. As you said, the big building round 3 is nice. That's a good time for them to build their stronghold naturally. And there's also workers in the cults, which they could, if they can get some priests in the cults to fire in air cults, maybe they could take advantage of that. That might be a bit tough with Orin and maybe other culty factions potentially in the game. Um, but yeah, I think you can see a path where they could do well here. I think it has to be pretty precise, though. I think a lot of things would have to go right.
Yeah, I think part of it too is, so we talked about, right, this is a low scoring setup. And so, the Orin pick, the hope might be, oh, Orin can make up some of those points that are lacking in the game by scoring a lot of points on the cults. And for Alchemists, I think the hope is, yeah, if everything breaks well for them, they can get a ton of points through favor tiles and through network scoring. So like, they do have an avenue to make up for some of those lost points. So yeah, so I think that's going to be everyone's goal here is to try to get on one of these factions that has a unique way of making points that maybe no one else at the table will have. We see the Nomads pick 3rd here. They're fairly unique compared to these other two in that they don't really have like a crazy way of making points. I guess they do have a shot at winning network, but yeah, they tend to be like they tend to play like, I don't know, like a little bit Alchemist's light, right? Like they play this like high economic game that want to try to find a way to turn stuff into points, but they just don't do things as extreme as Alchemists, right? They run out of coins, and so they can't build things as economically, but they still like have a love for scoring favorite tiles and getting on scoring bonus tiles. But yeah, they just don't do things as extremely as Alchemists. But I guess they still like round 6 towns, and they like a round 3 stronghold. So some of the things that work out well for Alchemists can work out for them too.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. They're kind of like a Walmart alchemist in some ways, I guess. Yeah, like you can build your stronghold either in round 3 or round 5 here as nomads and make it work, and hit round 6 towns pretty hard. One thing I'm interested in now looking at this game as it's something Zorus always talks about that I don't always think of, but I'm thinking of when I'm looking at this game is like, when do you build your trading posts? There's not an obvious time to do it, and there's no trading post pass tile. So it might make sense, I guess, to maybe save a lot of them for the round 6 town round at the end. But I'm wondering if Nomads can do something crazy and do like a trading post start, looking at the round 1 trading post event. I don't know if it make a lot of sense because there's not a lot of workers in the bonuses at least to kind of work off of that. But I don't know. I like seeing weird strategies, so I'm hoping something crazy happens here with Nomads with their start.
I think that could be really fun if they get on, a bonus tile that has a worker, right? There's only one here, actually, the 3 power 1 worker. Nomads can do a really cool start where, yeah, they build 3 trading posts, and then they take a single spade and build a dwelling. And that actually lines up reasonably well with the track, right? Then they can build the temple in round 2 and take Earth 1 or maybe even Air 1. In round 3, oftentimes like you haven't done a lot of digs by this point in the game, so you can sometimes just build a stronghold and use that as your way to get digs. Yeah, I think that would be really a really interesting game plan here. And I know like Zorus has really advocated for that before. I think Zivak, who's on Team Europe, has advocated for that before. So yeah, I definitely think we'll see people considering that.
I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping.
We just want to see something cool,
Yeah, exactly.
Not to brag too much, but USA played a really cool Nomads game last week, so you got a lot to live up to, everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. I can't deny that. That was a pretty sweet Nomads digging game.
All right, so we get Cultist as the 4th pick, which makes this a bit of a a bit of an awkward, color matchup, right? We have a color sandwich on one side of the wheel. So we have yellow, brown, and black, all being as color neighbors to each other. And so that means all this early bidding is focusing here on the Orin. Like, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think it makes sense at first glance. Just looking at the color matchup, it looks good for them, and the setup looks pretty good for them. Although with cultists in the game, cults are gonna be more competitive. Of course, cultists are the cultiest of all cult factions, by their name. So we're gonna expect to see some cult competition for sure. But yeah, it definitely I think makes sense to start bidding on Orin here. It's interesting though, because as one thing I kind of noticed in the earlier games, there hadn't been many color sandwiches. I think there was one in the first game where Swarmlings were sandwiched in this tournament, but it's not that big of a deal for Swarmlings usually. But for Cultists, definitely on this map, it's a bigger deal to be sandwiched. So I'll be curious kind of to see at the end when Cultists get picked here, when someone jumps to Cultists. It'll be a tough decision, I think.
Yeah, it seems like so we can go ahead here and talk about some of the opening placements, but really quickly, the first thing I'm noticing is that Orin without a color neighbor seems like they're going to be able to, get one of the first towns in the game. That if they want to rush for the 2-key town, it seems like they'll be able to, just because they'll probably have good space to do that, and that means that, they are going to have a huge upper hand on the cultists in terms of winning those cults. And that is usually one of the places where cultists are able to, if nothing else, cultists are able to get a ton of cult points, but they may not be able to do that as easily this game because Orin are going to be hugely incentivized to be topping out like literally every single cult if they can, because of their landscape.
Yeah, I think that would make a big difference. And the Tukey Town here looks really good, just looking at the cults themselves too. Looking at how much you can maybe get off Tukey Town in terms of economy, in the middle to late game. Yeah, and of course those cult points at the end. So even with a town round 6, a lot of the time people I think tend to save all their towns to round 6 to hit them all in the town round. But I think it would make a lot of sense here for Orange to take an early Tukey Town.
Yeah. So let's talk about that a bit with these opening placements. So everyone's aware we're just going to be placing some mock dwellings on the board of where we think all these factions will be starting. So I think we can safely say Orin are going to start here, right? The usual.
Yeah, I would think so.
And yeah, I think things seem pretty normal for them. I imagine they're going in these two normal spots. They're going to get neighbors there. And I imagine we'll see nomads kind of going in the middle. Stop me if I'm doing anything crazy, but I'm expecting cultists to join this big leech party in the middle and get a bunch of leech. Nomads probably go out in the west like normal. And now here's where it starts to get interesting, I guess. Well, I guess cultists probably go over here too, right? I feel like this is what I'm expecting off the bat.
Yeah, I would expect that as well. And actually, looking at this now, this is actually the exact same color matchup that was in the Fire 2 Open Finals game, which I was in. So this is looking very familiar to me all of a sudden. And yeah, I mean, for Alchemists, I played Alchemist in the finals, and I think I put my dwellings here and here, which seems natural here to try to connect up through the top, because the south will probably be taken by nomads or cultists. But it can be pretty precarious for alchemists, depending on where nomads put their third dwelling. Like if they choose to put their third dwelling at the top here, or even in the middle and quickly ship up to the north, it can make alchemist connection very tough here. So yeah, alchemists are really risky here. I learned that the hard way, I think, in the finals. It'll be a tough path for alchemists, I think. But if everything goes right, they can still do really well here.
I think alchemists are actually also going to have a bit of a. They're going to be determining how well things go for some other factions too. Alchemists place their second dwelling after cultists, and so if alchemists choose to start, here like you did, things look much better for cultists than if they choose to start here. So I think we're going to see, it's these two hexes are going to be the big, like which one of them do alchemists pick? And then similarly for nomads, like you said, yeah, like are nomads going to choose to start on this hex and block alchemist expansion? Are they going to choose to start on this hex and maybe dig some, some black or brown hexes in the north? Like where are nomads going to choose to start? And yeah, like who are they going to choose to get in the way of early? I think that's going to be huge.
Yeah, they have a lot of early control, I guess, on how the game plays out. kind of like map control, I guess, with their third dwelling, which I guess nomads always kind of do, but especially in the setup with the color neighbors of cultists, with alchemists being so fragile as they are. So they have a lot of power here, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how like blocky people choose to play early. It'll depend a lot, I think, on the outcome of this auction. If anyone feels, if people feel like Orin got a good deal in the auction, which it doesn't seem like Orin are going to be a steal here. At the very least, like people are bidding them heavily. But yeah, if people think Orin are going to be a steal, maybe you really do need to start and try to block their expansion to that blue hex in the east. That's usually a thing, in a lot of like games. If you feel like you're the strongest player at the table, often you try to figure out who who do you think got like the second best deal. Obviously, hopefully you think you yourself got the best deal, and then you try to figure out who do you think got the second best deal in the auction, and try to make sure to like you bias your decisions a little bit to getting in their way, opposed to anyone else's. But in this game with like this high level players all around, everyone like spending a long time on their decisions and deliberating heavily with a whole team of players, like I don't think anyone's going to come out of this auction like really feeling like they got a steal or really feeling like someone else got too good of a deal. Like I think we've seen so far, most of these auctions have been really fair, and the outcomes are not like, it's not people winning by 30 points because they just got misbid on.
Yeah, like you don't. No, they've all been pretty reasonable, I think, so far. But I think that's a really good point you mentioned that like it's a really, I think, important part of like playing Terra Mystica at a high level is like really figuring out if you need to target someone, and if you do need to target someone, figuring out who to target, when to target, like where to target them. There's a lot to like kind of think about in terms of, in general, if you want to play like passively and play your own game, or if you want to really play aggressively and really hurt another player if you feel the need to. And yeah, you learn a lot of information after the auctions and after the starting placements, and you have to like kind of quickly make a decision based on whose position looks good and who you think you might need to hurt, or if you think you look good and try to play it safe maybe. But there's a lot of kind of almost like mind games you have to play with yourself to try to figure out what to do, I guess, in the early stages of the game. So it seems like that nomads were the kind of the second. Sorry, it seems like nomads were the second most popular faction here, I guess. So you see Team USA kind of bin them down a bit to 28. Yeah, that was kind of a question I had. I was kind of curious to see which would be the second faction, if it would be nomads or alchemists. And I think nomads make sense. They're kind of definitely the safer pick of the two of them here, compared to alchemists. And they also, I think, have a pretty good game here. Of course, they have one color name, but they have cultists in the game. They have red hex available for them too, though, so they have some space to work out here. But that's actually something I was going to ask you, nerdcube or Eric. Like, how far? I was going to say, when would you jump off Orin to another faction? But we've seen that already happen. But I guess the question now is how much would you bid down nomads here, really, above alchemists or cultists?
Yeah, so I think this seems fairly reasonable. Like how far Orin got bid down. I think Orin with their landscape, the way I've always thought about it is Orin with their landscape often become just kind of like witches, right? If witches are getting 10 to 15 points from their from the fact that they get town scoring, like that's oftentimes about what Orin get. Orin usually get at least 8 points, sometimes 12 points, and occasionally even 16 points from their landscape. So Orin become just almost like witches. And so the way we could think about this is like how well would witches do, if they were just put in here. And I think the answer is like witches would be bid down a lot, if landscapes weren't on. So I think that makes sense. And then nomads definitely seem like the second pick here, like you said. Alchemists have a lot of fragility to them, and cultists just are in a color sandwich. They don't seem like they're going to win the cults because Orin are going to. Doesn't seem like they're going to be able to hit the track very hard, right? Like this round 6 town event, there's a chance Orin, alchemists, and nomads can all build at least 2 towns in that round. They all have, like, alchemists have a good ability to advance their digging and get out towns. Nomads can use their stronghold to get out towns. Orin just should be able to get towns because there's no one fighting for their territory. But cultists, I just don't see how they're gonna. It's gonna be tough for them to form 1 town this game, maybe, like, let alone 2. By the end of the game. So yeah, I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see. Like I think we should see a bit more bidding on both nomads and Orin before anyone jumps to alchemists or cultists. And I'm honestly really not sure which one we're going to see people jump to. Yeah, I think there's upsides for both of them. The upsides for Alchemists is, like we've said, if things break their way, it can be explosive. Like you said, they're hugely fragile. Like if things don't break their way, we could see a terrible game, and if things do break their way, we could see an explosive game. And they get 4 towns in the town round, and they get on the shipping tile for the whole game. And yeah, like things could just break their way, and it could be a beautiful game. And if things don't break their way, it might be terrible. And for cultists, I think the thing going for them is, they're still cultists. They're still arguably the strongest faction in the game. They can still just probably win a comfortable second on most of the cults. They can still, if they're able to hit the shipping tile. This is actually something interesting to talk about, is who wants to get on the shipping tile. And I think the answer is alchemists and cultists. Like by far the most are going to like potentially warp their game around trying to get onto that points tile. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think. Well, I definitely agree. There's no question alchemists want it. They always want it. And cultists, yeah, they like shipping in general. I think on this map too, it's good for them to get some shipping, especially in a color sandwich, to try to expand and get their hexes fairly early here. So naturally, kind of, if you're going to advance shipping for that, you want to score with the ship pass. I think, yeah, I think that's going to actually dictate a lot of the I'll make a prediction here that whoever wins this game is going to score the most points in the ship pass tile. I think that's going to be a big part of of the result in this game is who's able to use that most effectively, and also kind of who's able to control it and really keep it away from the other players here. Because there's no other means to score on the bonuses. It's just that tile. Whoever has that, no one else can do anything on the bonuses in terms of points directly. So yeah, I don't think I don't know. To me, yeah, my eyes are kind of focused on that. I think it's such a huge part of this game here.
Yeah, I
It's
totally agree
also
with that. I think that's a great prediction.
like it's interesting too because we're talking about how difficult it is for cultists here to kind of form towns, especially that last town round. It's always tough as a sandwich faction to kind of hit that hard because your hexes are taken. But again, we look back to the last Fire 2 Open. Istari played cultists in this really similar setup with last round towns, and he hit 2 towns in the last round and won the game as a sandwich cultist. So we've seen it before. Will we see it again, or will other players adjust kind of and take that away from them? It's kind of an interesting, I guess, dynamic here to that. We'll see how many people maybe have learned from that finals game in the Fire 2 Open, even if they didn't play in it necessarily.
Yeah, that that could be one of those things where if cultists end up being the 30-point faction here, alchemists are going to be very tempted to want to, start on this hex that we're talking about, and make sure to cut them off, because yeah, if cultists are able to just run wild and get easy town space, or you get easy space to expand early, they can do some crazy things. They can advance their digging, they can get out a bunch of shipping, they can go find another place away from everyone else to build their towns. Was exactly what Astari did, right? He found some like really creative space for a town. So yeah, I think cultists are a scary faction to let just like be the 30-point faction and like, not, and let them have some space to expand early. It's scary. Even though their landscape doesn't do much, it's, they're just so inherently powerful.
Yeah, they're just cultists. They're just good, like regardless, and especially I mean, looking at the dwellings here in this setup, presumably it's going to be something like this. There might be a few different dwelling places than what we have, but it'll be somewhat similar, I think. And like you can see, the cultists have a lot of neighbors, which is always good for cultists. That means when they're upgrading, they're getting cult steps, of course. Or if they're building next to people, they can get cult steps, and people accept their leech, which should happen a lot of the high level play. And so cultists maybe can kind of function in a sandwich a bit better than other factions can, as long as they have neighbors, which they do here for the most part, it seems like. But yeah, I agree. I think they have potential to do well, kind of depending how the opening plays out here, if they can find space for themselves.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit too about, speaking of like expanding for space, just the bonus tiles and who we think is going to end up on what. So cultists are in the 4th seat, and so I definitely imagine that they're going to start on the spade bonus tile. It just seems so good. It's the best one. I think, I've said before that for basically everyone except giants, if you like see the spade, you take the spade. And obviously, like sometimes as darklings, you want to take the sanctuary stronghold and stuff. But the spade, just like 80% of the time, is the right choice. And so I
When in
imagine
doubt,
take
take
that.
spade. Yeah.
Yeah. Nomads, what are you thinking they're going to end up on? Probably worker power or a priest.
Yeah, I think work 3 power here because the priest doesn't give them any immediate rewards. They can't really use the air pulse step unless they're gonna go wild and take air 2 or something, which would be
Yeah,
cool.
wouldn't that
But
be crazy?
yeah, would that be familiar? No, that would be really cool. As good as the cults look this game, they don't really like the Nomads have trouble, I think, taking advantage of early air cult rewards. They like the fire cult a lot better, which doesn't really reward until kind of the middle of the game here. So I think work 3 power at the start would make more sense for them than a priest. The other
Yeah,
alternative is we saw in the Fire 2 Open game, we saw Deep Finesse as Nomads again in the 3rd seed, and he took Temp Ship and did a Dwelling Rush. So that could also be a possibility for Nomads here. I don't know if it would be great in this setup. Well, it couldn't be that bad with last round towns, right? Maybe it's a possibility.
I'm still rooting for this take worker power trading post opening. I'm still rooting for it. I
Oh
don't know
yeah,
if it'll happen, but
I definitely am too. That would be the most fun of all the openings for sure.
yeah.
Then after that, Alchemist will take, I assume. Well, they'll either be a priest or work 3 power or temp ship. Those are all pretty good bonus for Alchemist.
Yep.
They would definitely prefer the priest. I'm pretty sure that would be their #1 priority if it is available for them at that point. Yeah, and then at the end, I guess the Orin would be happy with temp ship if they got that. But they would take any of those other bonuses too, work 3 power or priest. So really, I guess there's 4 kind of good starting bonuses for all these factions, which is nice for all of them. It's definitely makes a pretty big difference, I think, if you get a good bonus to start.
Yeah. I imagine that's one of the reasons why Orin were put in the first seat too. Like it makes sense to have a green faction in the first seat, like when there's this arrangement of bonus tiles, because green is one of the factions that's one of the colors that's just like totally happy, like thrilled to get temp shipping to start. And so yeah, so like this way Orin will be happy, no matter what falls to them. Yeah,
I
so we
wonder if
see
there's
a bit
any
of.
chance that. Sorry, I
Yeah,
was
go
just
ahead.
saying, I wonder if there's any chance that I don't know if it would make any sense, but if Orin put their second dwelling up here to really, they probably don't need to do this, but really rush the Tukey town, I guess, and really use temp shipping. But then they're potentially getting cut off on this eastern island here, so that would make a lot of sense. But I was just kind of looking into the different possibilities. No, I think we'll probably see the standard green star in this map. I think it's more likely.
The thing I wonder if they'll do, if Orin do start on temp shipping, that it might kind of make sense with the track to just open with a trading post and then a semi-dwelling rush, right? So you can get out a trading post and a bunch of dwellings, and then the track seems to be telling you, and then you build your temple in round 2. Obviously, it wouldn't be bad to build your temple in round 1. Orin loves getting priests, and then the priests are going to pay out, when you put them on the cults in round 2. But I do wonder if that's something that they would consider. Like your first action, you build a trading post, then maybe you can get the double spade and build a whole bunch of dwellings on a bunch of green hexes. So I'll be interested to see what the game plan is for. And I think there's a lot of different ways this can go for them. Like if they're going to take an income favor to start, if they're going to take a scoring favor to start because it's a low scoring game, if they're going to just try this dwelling rush thing. I think Orin have some interesting things, and they're a less played faction. So I think we have just like less data on what people tend to do with them. So it's always going to be a little bit more surprising.
Yeah, there's definitely room to explore with them in general. Yeah, I hope they do what you said. I think it'd make a lot of sense here. It fits the track nicely, which is always kind of fun, I think, to see that. I guess maybe it'd make their cult presence a little bit lesser than they would otherwise. But they still play at Tukey Town first, I think. It looks pretty viable to me. It looks like it would be good. I don't know if it'd be better than just starting with a temple, but like it definitely looks like an option. Um, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's interesting now we're starting to see bids on Alchemist as well. So with Nobez at 23 and Orin now at 11, we see Team Canada on Alchemist at 29. So Cultist will be the 30-point faction here. Which it's pretty normal, I guess, when they're sandwiched. You kind of expect to see that.
Yeah, I think all this bidding makes a fair bit of sense. This is though, I mean, one of the things is Orin are down at 11 points right now, and we talked about
Yeah.
how this is a bit low scoring of a game, right? So cultists at 30, and if cultists are able to like get on that shipping tile a couple times, and like you said, win the bonus points game, I just find it like I think there is a really good chance cultists end up being the steal of this game. Like they're starting with a spade. They're going to do really well in the cult rewards, like you said. Even if they don't win all the cults, they're still going to get a lot of income from these cults along the way. They'll probably be able to use that income to find a way to advance their digging or shipping or get somewhere else and carve out some towns later. I like there's always a world where this goes horribly for cultists, but I think they're going to get a lot of leech to start. They're going to get a lot of cult steps. They're starting on a good bonus tile, and even if they don't win the cults, like if you just take a second in every cult, that's still 16 points, right? That's still that's still great in a game that's this low scoring. And if you can get on this shipping bonus tile, once or twice throughout the game, they'll just love to do early shipping, especially on this map. Like 2 shipping can get them so many places. Yeah, I'm kind of rooting for Team USA to jump over to Cultists here soon.
I mean, yeah, I'm not rooting for that to happen because I agree. I think cultists have potential here to do pretty well. No, I'm hoping Canada right here maybe jump onto cultists. Like looking at this auction right now, I think I would like to me Ornn are pretty low. I personally wouldn't bid them anymore. It's just not enough scoring in this game, I think, to justify it. And you're also I think everyone being on Ornn right now is saying that Ornn are going to have a great game, which it makes sense, again, looking at the color matchup. But again, going back to the Fire 2 Open, everyone said this for Witches in the game Fire 2 Open, which had the same color matchup. I think they've been down to 9, and in the end, they got kind of constricted by the fast expansion by everyone else. So Alchemist expanded quickly and took kind of the northern black hexes, and same with Nomads taking taking yellow hexes, which Witches don't want, but they put a lot of pressure and caused other factions to expand fast, and it ended up really kind of just it led to like an okay Witches game where they got 2 towns and did decently. But if you're bidding this heavily for a faction, you're kind of expecting them to do really well, to be explosive and to be dynamic. And with other factions having a lot of like incentive to expand fast, I think Ornn could get squeezed a little bit more than you think they would looking at the color matchup here. So I'd be hesitant to bid Ornn anymore for sure.
Yeah, there's like a couple things going against Ornn. So Nomads and Alchemists, even with like these color neighbors in the game, I think both tend to do really well on network scoring, right? So, Ornn is the non-color sandwiched faction, with no color neighbors. Like you tend to expect like, oh, they're going to get a ton of network points, and they very well might. But there's also a world where they only get like 6 or 12 points on network just because Alchemists and Nomads can build so much. So that seems to be going against like the dream situation where they win a whole bunch of stuff. Like everyone else is going to be really fighting over the bonus tile. I think Alchemists and Cultists both want that single scoring bonus tile, so that means Ornn could easily end with 0, bonus tile points this game. And then like if Alchemists get their digging up, if Nomads get their stronghold up, early enough in the game, they can dig away some green hexes. They can make it hard for Ornn to form a 3rd town. I do think it's just so much to pay for Ornn. There's a reason Ornn are considered a fairly bad faction without their landscape. It's because they just don't, Witches, for example, like, I think Witches Stronghold doesn't give enough credit. That's a great way for them to get out of trouble, for them to like find a way to get in, a spot for a 3rd town. It's a great way for them to fly to a 3rd town location. And the fact that Ornn don't have that, that get out of jail free mechanism, right? If Ornn get trapped in, if people dig some of their hexes, they're just kind of stuck. It's really hard to get to like 2 or 3 shipping with them. It's really expensive, and it's hard to get to new places if you don't get all the hexes you want early.
And that might actually, like, yeah, I agree. That makes a lot of sense. That might maybe give them more incentive to do what you're talking about earlier, like doing a partial dwelling rush here just to secure space in the map, just to kind of secure important hexes, and ideally beat Alchemist to the north part there, the northern black hex. Oh, it looks like we have our factions. Okay, looks like someone took Cultists. I don't know if you saw, but I missed it. Okay, Team Asia jumped to Cultists.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, I am too. That looks nice to me. I'd take 34 points here.
Yeah, Team USA on Alchemist at 24 points. I gotta say, guys, we'll see what happens. But I don't know. That's quite a few points to pay for something so fragile. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe they have a really, really strong Alchemist plan here. They know exactly what they're going to do. I don't know if... Yeah, no, Sprockets actually did play a really good Alchemist game. I think it was a couple Fire 2 tournaments back, but I remember he had an amazing Alchemist game where he won a bunch of cults and scored, I think, over 170 points. So we know he certainly knows his Alchemist stuff. Well, he's a really good player. He knows every faction, but he's obviously confident with Alchemists. So maybe he's got a really strong plan here. Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens.
Yeah. And for the drama, Team Europe is the one that, all these other factions or all these other teams, would like to see Team Europe not do so well, right? It increases their chances at winning because Team Europe's in the lead currently. So it increases their chance at winning and getting home field advantage into the finals. And so I think a lot of these other teams might be fairly excited to see Team Europe just starting at the fewest number of points, right? Like we talked about, there's a lot of worlds where this doesn't go beautifully for Ornn. And so just having Team Europe start at the bottom, I think all these other factions are, you're going to be hopeful that they stay down there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see based on like the tournament standings and how everything turns out. If Team USA or Team Canada maybe will want to dig some of Nomad or dig some of Team Europe's green hexes here, or maybe even Cultists they advanced dig could target them just to improve their placement going into the finals next week for the tournament. So there might be some game within the game kind of going on later as we progress.
Yeah. We see the cultists timer going negative here a bit. Their player Elvis Sang disconnected, so he should be back on in a minute. But meanwhile, we see the first few dwelling placements going down, and it's kind of exactly what we expected to start. We're getting this big cluster of leech in the middle, so that seems great for cultists and nomads. Honestly, they're going to be whenever there's these like 4 hexes starting in a leech party like this, there's 2 of the hexes that like get more out of the deal, right? Like so cultists and nomads are both going to have 3 people feeding them leech as opposed to 2. And that's another thing is like when you're a good player, like, and these are teams of 4 great players, like I think you just generally want to have more leech, right? You just you tend to think that you can make better use of your resources than anyone else can, right? Like that's the hope. You want more stuff so you can do what you want with it. And so I think, nomads and cultists will both be really excited here to just be getting a ton of leech.
Yeah, it always just is nice to have early leech and early resources. I'm wondering in this game actually, I mean, it looks like everyone's getting good leech, so it won't matter. But I wonder if it won't make as big of a difference in this game in what could be a lower scoring setup. Because especially in a higher scoring setup, the early leech makes a huge difference. When there's not too many ways to score, I mean, you have to make up those points you're losing for leech eventually. It's still, don't get me wrong, it's still be worth it to take early leech, any early leech you get here. But I wonder maybe, I guess, how big of a difference it'll make here. Although maybe it will make a big difference because there's pressure for hexes for sure, for cultists, for alchemists, for different factions here. And so the more resources you have early on, the more ability you have to expand and get to important hexes. So no, I think you're right. I think that'll be pretty important here, I think.
Yeah. So yeah, things going fairly expected though. Yeah, cultist place in there, nomads place in there. Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Like these early power actions, I think, are potentially going to be very important, though. Just with if Orin want to get out a temple in round 2 and a stronghold in round 3, if nomads want to get out a round 3 stronghold, right? Like securing lots of coins and workers' power actions early to afford some of those expensive big buildings is going to be huge. Cultists might want to get on coins power actions to advance their shipping. Priest power actions, I think, are going to be contested because they pay out in the second round on the cult. So I think that's going to be the next really big interesting thing we see is who's going for which power actions. Double spade is of course always great. So like the power actions with so much leech to go around, I think there's a chance we see like all of the power actions except the bridge taken in the first round, just with how much leech is going to go around, and seeing who gets what is going to it's going to really influence what the rest of their game plan in especially in rounds 2 and 3 look like.
Hey, maybe Orin can take a bridge. Maybe we can get all the power actions, get all 6 on the first round, which you don't see every day. So that'd be a cool start. Oh wow, okay. So Team USA does put their second dwelling beneath cultists there in the east, kind of clogging up the area for cultists. That's cool. That like I'm curious to see where they go with this. And if they're just gonna kind of abandon that dwelling there, maybe make it a separate town and just not connect it with the rest of the structures, or if they have a separate path here for connection, like a sneaky path for connection. But it definitely hinders cultists a lot for sure, having that dwelling there. It makes cultists early game a lot more difficult.
Yeah, it kind of makes it so that cultists only I don't want to say only, but one of their best backup plans when they get trapped like this is to just rush and advance their shipping. So the upside for alchemists is you blocked in cultists a bit. They're not going to have an easy time forming this town. The downside is suddenly cultist plan is probably advance their shipping to 3, steal some of your black hexes in the north, to find their own connection path, get on the shipping tile, which is what you want to get on. So it's maybe a little problematic for alchemists. Like I can see a world where cultists are going to like really get in their way, in just a couple rounds.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You kind of see the potential like downstream effects of that. You're blocking them, so they need to expand in other places, which naturally blocks where you want to go later. The other, I mean, alchemists, I guess, can kind of get out of that if they can maybe get either the temp ship or priest bonus tile and power for a priest here and get 2 shipping and quickly expand to their northern black hexes. If they can do that this round and beat cultists those hexes, then I think they're in business, actually. I think they'd be in a decent spot if they can do that. Yeah, so you can see the hexes, particularly B3 and A8. Also C1, that's not as threatened. But if they can get those northern hexes quickly here in the first round, which is always good for alchemists, but especially when you have pressure in your hexes, if they can get there quickly, then I think they'd be in a decent spot at least, even if they can't connect here.
Yeah, I think like how this first round goes, because like I talked about, with so much power to go around, the power actions are going to be contested. So I think it is a bit of an open question. Are alchemists going to get a priest action even? Like I don't think that's a given.
No, definitely not.
And we do see nomads go B4. That's a bummer for the USA boys.
Nice,
it's gonna make it that much harder
already.
Yeah,
yeah, big aggressive play from Canada already targeting the US. That's what I like to see.
Yeah. I think nomads have a decent position here. I'm curious to see how they play their opening, but everyone else I think seems to have a lot of problems. Like the biggest problem for nomads is just there's nothing amazing for nomads in this game. Like if that's a problem, right? Like we can see worlds how this can go really, really well for everyone. I think but that also means we can see worlds where things go really poorly. But I think Canada has and nomads kind of have maybe the most stable game plan here, right? They're probably gonna they're going to try to get double dig. They're going to get lots of leech. They're going to try to get lots of dwellings on the board. Really, they're going to think about building a sanctuary or stronghold in round 3. Right? Like nomads are just nomads. Like they're just gonna play their game. I think, and I don't think there's too many ways to get in their way this game. I don't think there's too many like ways they're going to get blocked. I think they have a solid game, and I'm excited to see what they do.
Well, it's really interesting because they did take temp ship. So it looks like they're going to go for somewhat of a dwelling rush maybe in this round, or at least get a few dwellings out in some way. Maybe go for a quick double dig and take those hexes. This is really uncanny in terms of how similar this is to the Fire 2 Open Finals game. I'm getting flashbacks quickly. Even like the faction points look so similar to what they did. The bonuses look pretty similar. The track looks incredibly similar. This is really weird. And I'm actually curious to see maybe if Canada goes for kind of a digging nomad strategy, which of course we saw last game in the international class with the US worked amazingly. And there was a lot of talk at the end of that Fire 2 Open Finals game that maybe nomads should have advanced digging and gone for a digging strategy. And maybe they're going for something similar here. I'm gonna predict they will. I think they have something in mind here.
Yeah, it seems like what they saw here was that if Orin and Alchemist both upgrade in the center, like happened, then nomads were gonna get the double dig, right? They were gonna get 2 power. And going for this double dig with temp shipping is great because it gets them to quite a few new places that they can build on. And so even if they're not doing a dwelling rush, right, I think they just saw that that they were going to get the double dig, and that temp shipping helps them to use that to even greater effect. They're not being, nomads aren't really incentivized to expand very much in the west right now off that western dwelling just because they don't have any neighbors there. It's not going to be a town anytime soon. So I think they're better served by trying to expand to some of these northern hexes before cultists and alchemists get up there than they are by trying to fight for territory over in the west.
Yeah, and this also puts a lot more pressure on alchemists and cultists. Well, they did want to cultist brown hexes. I guess the red hex in the south they're always getting, but claiming territory quickly like this in like a tight color wheel matchup is always kind of nice. That it forces other players to really go for the important hexes they need and maybe make some optimal moves to go for that. So I'm curious to see what Team Europe here does, because I would think Team US or the Alchemists here really want the second priest here to advance shipping and really get dwellings out this first round, especially seeing what nomads are doing with their dwelling rush here. So Europe can take the priest and still get Earth 1 because of the nomads temp shift start. So I'm curious to see if they do that. I think it would make a lot of sense for them because the priest to air looks really good for them, getting them a spade and later cult rewards as well. So I think, yeah, and it's kind of interesting to see the repercussions of Canada quickly taking the double dig is that no one else has to rush for Earth 1. They have a turn to do what they want here.
Yeah, that's something interesting we didn't get to talk about that I had wanted to bring up is like, do you think, even at this point, everyone is incentivized to rush for Earth 1? Seeing as it's such a low scoring game, we talked about how everyone's going to be getting a lot of power and therefore the power actions are going to be contested. But there's this opposite pressure of but Earth 1 seems like it's really important for alchemists, for nomads, and even for cultists and Orin if they just want to find a way to keep up on scoring. Like, what do you think the priority is here? Like a power action? Like, do you think Nomad's decision to take the double dig and forego, Earth, but probably forgo Earth 1 was okay?
I I think so. I think they can make it work. I think the track is good enough, and if they do, if they do digging nomads, I think that can work here with last round towns. If they can hit 3 towns in that, I think maybe it can work. Yeah, that was actually something I was thinking about too that I wanted to bring up and never did. I guess was if there's going to be an Earth One rush, and we saw there isn't really. And yeah, and Orin now take the priest, which puts Team US in like, an interesting position. Maybe they'll kind of wait until later in the round to get more power, then they can do a 5 power priest and still advance shipping. I'd be curious to see if they do that. But yeah, Orin taking that priest as well definitely put some pressure on Team US and really everyone else further down the line here. I think we'll see the first Earth One here.
Yeah, it seems like US is just rushing Earth 1. I think it's way too important for Alchemists. Like you said, Nomads might have a way to make it up later, but I don't think Alchemists do. It's not a high enough scoring track, and there's nowhere near enough points on the bonus tiles for them to miss Earth 1. And so it makes sense that they rush that temple.
I think like in general, I mean everyone always says with Alchemist that you need Earth One and you can't win with Alchemist without Earth One. Like I kind of think it's not always true, but I think in this game for sure, I agree. I think Earth One's pretty important in this game for them. There's just not a lot of alternative to score for Alchemist outside of Earth One here.
I see Canada going for a trading post, so they're not doing like a full dwelling rush or anything. They're building at least one trading post, and this double dig that they got with their first action means that they upgraded away from Alchemists. This is devastating news for the boys on Team USA. I think they expected to get a lot more leech. Well, about 4 power more leech than they're going to get, and that's huge. That's half a worker's action. I don't think things are looking great for the Alchemists here. Honestly, they missed out on the priest action. They'll still get a 5 power priest. They're missing out on some leech. Like I don't think that this is what they were hoping for. And similarly, I don't think this is what Orin were hoping for either. They did get that priest, but they're not starting on temp shipping. So even though they're getting a priest, I think they might not get any more dwellings out in the first round than just a temple. Actually, they might take the bridge just to get an extra dwelling up, but it's like a little bit of a shaky start for them to not be taking spades and I'm not loving things for them either.
This isn't the kind of start you bid 19 victory points down for. You don't bid them to 11, kind of maybe hoping for this kind of start. Like you hope for more than this if you've been down that far. This is the last time I mentioned it, but again, this looks so similar. Because again, I'm thinking back to my game when I was Alchemist, and I thought I was gonna get a lot of leaps at the beginning, and I didn't in this exact same setup. This is the last time I'll talk about it, but I just can't stop thinking about that. This is like some kind of therapy for me or something. I don't know.
I need some of that for myself for my Alchemist game. I still have nightmares about taking 4th.
So part of me is actually hoping Team USA can kind of pull out a good game here to avenge my Alchemist game in the finals. Yeah. But no, I'm still rooting for Canada for sure.
Okay. I like that it's Canada that's like doing this to the Alchemists, that's upgrading away from them. It's maybe you're torn a little bit.
Slightly. PTSD or flashbacks. But no, I don't know. The more I look at it, the more I like Canada's game. And actually, really interesting is that the cultist Team Asia took Air 2. So they didn't take Earth 1, which does make sense because maybe they're going to play a smaller game. They don't have a lot of space to expand being sandwiched. So maybe the points from Earth 1 won't be worth it. They'll have to find other ways to make up points for sure, which is challenging, but maybe is doable. But of course, Air 2 gives them that early spade, which is always nice.
Yeah, it's going to be. So we actually said this about about the cultist. Again, bringing up this game that you played in, where we thought that Astari was going to have trouble expanding, and therefore we questioned. I think he took Earth 1. I think we were questioning, is he going to get to make good enough use of this? Seeing that he's color sandwiched, and he ended up doing it. Cultists are still cultists as it turns out, and got a bunch of income from the cults and get shipping and expand. And so I do wonder, it's going to be great for cultist early economy, but if they don't have a way to turn that into points, if they do miss out on Earth 1 and they let Orin and Nomads have Earth 1, it just feels like they're going to really struggle to make points.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, the nice thing for cultists here is they're gonna have a little space in the south, looks like, to expand. Well, I guess nomads are gonna take that hex, the yellow hex in the south, so maybe not that much space. Yeah, no, they are still pretty squeezed for space. And it does look like Team USA, they advanced shipping once already with their priest. So presumably they'll do a 5-power priest, advance shipping again, and build some dwellings. That seems to be the path they're going down at least. And yeah, the squeeze will be on for cultists for sure. They'll have to find a way. They'll have to find a way out of this. I'm always all for tall strategies, so I'm kind of curious to see if a tall cultist strategy could work here. But I'm not so sure with last round towns without bonus tiles in the game. That looks like a pretty tough path to me, at least, to kind of to have payoff in this game.
Yeah, playing a tall strategy is cool, but it usually relies on like some trading post rounds in the middle of the game and like the sanctuary stronghold bonus tile being in the game or the trading post bonus tile, right? Like that's how you win with the tall game is you get on the bonus tiles and you hit trading posts really hard, which none of that is in this game. So it's like it really did feel like Earth One was super important just because this game is telling you to expand and build lots of stuff so you can get lots of towns and ship because that's the only bonus tile in the game and use that shipping to build lots of dwellings. So it really does seem like Earth One's pretty important, and whoever misses out on it is, I think, at some point in this game going to be really wishing they had it.
Yeah, and you can still, I mean, I guess we can still see cultists take Earth One with the second temple. Maybe not in this round, but in the next round they can do it quickly and snatch up Earth One. So that's a possibility still. I guess taking Air 2 doesn't mean they're out of the running for Earth One here, necessarily.
Yeah, so we do see nomads, are continuing to build out dwellings, and like nomads built another dwelling before building a temple. So to me that says, well, they no longer have the resources to build a temple this round, and so they're waiting until next round to do it. Right? They're trying to score on the track. It seems like, and so what I'm wondering is like, what are they going to take with that? Obviously Earth One is still great for nomads, and they still want to get it. And if they ever want it this game, they probably have to take it next round. But they'll already have built, what is this? 1, 2, 3, 4 dwellings this round. Like they'll already have built 4 dwellings, and that's 8 points of Earth One that they like chose to forego. By waiting around for their temple. So I do wonder if that's I don't know what they're thinking if they're going to go for Earth One next round or Water One, just building trading posts is the next thing to do.
Yeah, you can make an argument for either of those, I think. I mean, they can take Earth One as more of a denial move to kind of take it away from cultists. They will be able to. The cultists passed here, so nomads will have, and the cultists don't have a trading post up, so cultists can't get Earth One first round or first turn next round. So nomads will have the option to take Earth One if they want it next round. But it could make sense as a denial move. Or if, I mean, they will be building a lot of dwellings later in the game. I guess it will be points. They could take Fire One, I guess, as an option too. It's always nice when you do Dwelling Rush if you want to go full economy to complement like the worker income you get from having all those dwellings down with some coin income from Fire One. And yeah, Water One can make sense too because they're going to want to build trading posts maybe into a stronghold round 3, or at least later in the game they will as well. So there's a lot of different possibilities I think for them here still.
Yeah, so nomads have seemingly committed to their line. The big question left is like what favorite tile they take. Orin did end up taking the single spade, so they're getting another dwelling out. That's good for them, and they're getting a cult spade at the end of the round, so that's going to help their expansion a bit. I think Orin, maybe I overstated how bad their first round was. I think they're still in great shape. They took Earth One, which I think is very important, seeing how few points they started at. And Alchemist did the shipping thing, so that's cool. I think the big thing to look out for Alchemists is they got the shipping opening. It's great, right? Temple 3 dwellings, that's what you want. But the fact that nomads denied them this early power is going to mean that they're pretty power short, and it looks like it's going to be quite a long time before they get any more spades. Unless I guess maybe cultists upgrade next to them next round and give them a little bit of leech, but so usually alchemists want to like do the shipping and get some dwellings out, but they're going to need spades at some point, right? They're going to need to find a way to like dig this blue hex in the east before Orin try to race there or something like that. And I think there's, that's alchemist's next big problem to figure out is like, how are they going to get these spades? Are they going to try to rush to advance their digging? Are they going to, try to like take power bonus tiles to get power that way? But like, yeah, how are they going to get their next set of spades to find new places to expand to?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we see nomads pass on to the spade bonus, which is always good at the start. It makes a lot of sense. So alchemists aren't getting that. They're not getting a spade through that either. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that question. How they're getting spades. They do have another black hex in the west. They can kind of reach with their two shipping right now, so they'll get another dwelling down next round. Maybe they'll go for another temple in Earth too, which sounds familiar. It makes sense, of course, with the temple around as well. And if you can't build more dwellings, maybe if they had the economy for that, maybe they'd do that. But yeah, and you can only really advance digging so early in Terra Mystica in general, because advancing digging is naturally so expensive, and you need a lot of workers to not only advance dig but also dig hexes after advanced digging. So round two is not really feasible to advance digging. I'd say they have to wait to round three at the earliest, and probably more like round four. Yeah, so early spades it looks like might be a problem for them because of that.
Yeah, the interesting thing too is we haven't talked much about the alchemist landscape, but besides Orin, alchemists have like by far the next most powerful landscape in this game. Nomads and cultists are fairly insignificant, but the alchemists here have a landscape. So after they get their stronghold down, they can put down a landscape and essentially get 2 free priests that they can only immediately use to advance their digging and shipping. So that is really powerful in terms of like being able to help them advance their digging early. Like if they go for a second temple, they'll have plenty of priests. But if they don't, that gives them a great way to make up those priests and advance their digging, a little bit earlier than you'd expect. It makes it a little bit easier to do it in round 3 as opposed to round 4, let's say.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's so easy to forget about the landscapes. Like even as we talked about, this is a landscape game, and we know they're in here, but it's so easy to forget about them. And for alchemists, it's a pretty strong landscape. Yeah, I mean the only prerequisite is the stronghold, which it looks like they want to build in round 3, naturally. But yeah, getting a free dig advance in particular for them is really good. Saving them the priest and the 2 work, or saving them just the priest from that is really nice. So yeah, no, maybe you're right. I mean, they could maybe advance digging a little bit earlier than normal here, and maybe they don't need the second temple for the priest to advance digging as well. Maybe they can use those resources in another way, kind of that would be more useful for them.
Yeah, so we see, so we talked a bit about how all the power actions might go claimed in the first round, and that didn't even really come close to living up to true. Both the coins and the workers, went unclaimed, and a bit of that is, nomads, made sure there was a little bit less leech in the game than we expected. And I think a little bit of that, is like nomads wanted to pass and get on a bonus tile and take a power action next round instead of, one this round. But yeah, cultists also though, like the other thing is cultists just didn't spend any power. They took air 2, and they're, like before they get their, air 2 ability, they have 6 power in both 3. So I guess what the hell do you think cultists are up to this turn? They have so much stuff.
They can do a lot. Oh wow. Wait, is that cultists just dug the gray below Orn there in the east. They dug it red. So it looks like I wonder if they're gonna double dig that and kind of dig right across there and really cut off Orn and Alchemist. And so maybe that's how cultists they're doing it right now.
Oh, this is
maybe
crazy.
That's how cultists are gonna get space here. Yeah, this is cool. This is interesting. This is what we signed up for here.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this is bad for like everyone except nomads. Well, and cultists, right? Alchemists and Orin are hating this.
It squeezes everyone else hard. There wasn't really anything. I guess Orin could have dug that hex and built there earlier, but wasn't obvious at least that cultists wanted to go that direction. But I think it makes a lot of sense. I think this is kind of what you have to do sometimes if you're sandwiched. You have to really play aggressively and kind of carve out your own space and really cut off other people. So I like the move a lot by Team Asia.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got a report with Lizzie, our sideline reporter, coming in to give us a report on what's going on with Team Asia. I'm really curious. That was a crazy play they just did. How's it going, Lizzie?
Good. How's it going with you?
Good. Looks like you're reporting from the Tree of Serenity.
That's right. I'm here at the Tree of Serenity. It is very peaceful. There's a lot of, there's birds chirping. I feel like meditating. But yeah, I'm here to give a report about Team Asia. And it looks like they actually beat me to the punch. I was going to report that they were planning on doing that double dig for F6. And then they did it before I could come report on it.
They spoiled it.
I know they spoiled. I was so excited. I should have been a little bit quicker. It was interesting though because they kept debating doing a bridge to the south instead, and doing a town or finishing their town over there. But they were actually worried that nomads were going to beat them to the south, and that's why they didn't want to do that. They also, I think they wanted to make it mysterious that they were about to do that double dig on F6. And I think they wanted to make it look like they were going to go maybe for a town in the south. So they were being a little bit tricky there.
Yeah, we were shocked over here, so it worked. You can tell them that.
Well, that's for sure.
They did not want Orin to think that they were going to dig F6. They wanted that. They were worried about, they debated, like, do Orin think they're going to do that? And they said, no, Orin doesn't think that we're going to dig F6. Orin's going to go dig D5. They're not worried about us over here. So it was a very strategic play on their part. I'm impressed.
Yeah, very cool play from them. Thanks for that report. That's really cool to get that insight on. Because yeah, I mean, like in hindsight, it looks obvious that they were going to do it, but it was really cool to see it play out. Like we had no idea over here, so that was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. A few other things from I've been listening in on them for a while. They actually had a technical issue. I don't know if you guys were aware of it, but one of their players' computer froze, and he was the one who was making the moves. So Asia was going over their time limit because his computer was frozen, and there was this whole big issue. He had to restart his computer. Deep Finesse ended up logging in instead to try to make the moves, and so I felt bad for them. That was a pretty hard issue, and I think they felt bad about going over their time, but it doesn't seem like it was their fault.
Yeah,
it's impressive. Sorry, I was gonna say, it's impressive they could coordinate all of this while still having those time issues and still making the move they did, and really kind of, throwing a wrench into everything. That's interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they didn't get busted
they
at all. That's
also,
great.
I know that they took Air 2. They thought about taking Earth 1. They eventually decided that they were going to take Earth 1 next. I don't know if they've done that yet. They were a little bit worried about an Earth 1 rush, but then they decided, no, they'll be okay. It looks like it's going to work out for them.
Nice. Yeah, right. I'm really excited to see how this game plan goes for them. Really cool, and thanks for that insight.
Yeah. All right, well, that's all the report from me, and hopefully I'll be back soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the report. See you later, Lizzie. So yeah, crazy move of the game so far. I think everything had been going as expected. There was a little bit of trickery from the Nomads on this temp shipping and where they chose to upgrade. But yeah, sweet move of the game. And I think this tournament, a bit of this tournament has been defined by, some teams making some like big, powerful, cool plays. I think, Asia did it with like their cool like halfling shipping advancing on the Fjords game a few games ago. USA did it last game with a digging nomad strategy. Like, yeah, I think this tournament has been like some of the best wins have been, defined by like just a really big, cool move or bold game plan early on. And this is it. This is it from Cultist. So maybe they can pull through here. Because this, like we were saying, definitely hurts Orin, hurts Alchemists a lot, I think.
Yeah, it's a statement move from Cultist, that's for sure. They're letting everyone know they're here. I mean, we already know that. Team A just played well. We know they're here, but if anyone didn't know, they're definitely here now.
Yeah. And we do see Nomads going for Water 1, which means that Cultists are getting Earth 1. That's what they wanted. They opened with an Econ favor. They're still getting Earth 1 in round 2. They have town space carved out. Things like this is looking great for them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is they have not only do they have Earth 1, but they have space to use it. They have a lot of space to build dwellings now with the move they made. And so getting that combination is really, really nice. And their cold position is decent too. I mean, people have been accepting their leech, which is expected. But because of how the cults are in this game, I mean, those cold positions are going to reward pretty, not in this round so much, but the next few rounds, that's going to really boost their economy as well too. So yeah, I think they're the front runners here. That's my opinion, at least at the start.
Yeah, it really seems like, nothing went too amazingly well for anyone else, right? Like we were saying, like everyone else just kind of did their game plan. And meanwhile, Cultists pulled this like, rabbit out of a hat that we weren't expecting. And I think it really advanced their position, especially relative to Orin and Alchemist. So I think Nomads are doing really well here. They've got neighbors to build a lot of trading posts. They've gotten some good leech. They're going to be able to expand well. It looks like they're doing well in the network race. But I do think things are looking a bit shaky for especially Alchemists and a little bit Orin. Orin are going to win the race to the 2 key town, it looks like, and they're going to do well in the cults. But they just haven't gotten anything exceptional yet to warrant, like we talked about, being bid down 19 points over cultists. Yeah, I do think this is a statement move from cultists, and really like it puts them, and with Nomads a bit behind, as the front runners here, because Nomads just didn't get hurt by that move.
Yeah, I mean, it benefits everyone else. It benefits Nomads if it hurts everyone else, naturally. And then, of course, I'm looking at Nomad's position now, too. It does look really good. They have a temple and 7 dwellings down, which is a really good economy. And they still have...
I'll be excited to see what barnawal says they have. But yeah, I agree that I think Nomads have an awesome economy right now. They were able to, I think they took a coins action this round. I wasn't paying close attention, but I think that's what they did with their first action, is took some coins. And yeah, so like being able to have a temple, 7 dwellings down with, a bunch of trading posts ready, like they've got water 1 and a bunch of spots to build trading posts. So I think that's what their next round is going to be about. Yeah, just building 3 or 4 trading posts, maybe take an air 1 at some point with a sanctuary, and just really like start hammering scoring through favorite tiles and like hoping to win network and setting up the space for your town. So yeah, I do think Nomads have a great game plan going here. And yeah, they haven't been hurt anywhere. They have gone to execute on exactly the game plan they wanted. That's at least a big part of it. Is it's maybe not necessarily the game plan we expected. We weren't counting on temp shipping, but it's the game plan they wanted, and no one's really gotten in their way. They got the double spade, they got water 1, they got the coins action. Like this this is what they wanted. This is what they when they bid on auction, on Nomads in the auction. Like this is obviously what they were hoping for, because it's exactly what they're executing. So
yeah. I don't know what happened, but I'm back now. My computer doesn't like Discord. I don't know what it is. But yeah, no, it's gone pretty smoothly for Nomads. I was also interested. I noticed, like Team USA, the Alchemist, they took for the bonus, they took a coin cult step over ship pass. And they also sent their priest to fire, so they're making a bit of a play in the fire cult, which makes a lot of sense given the fire rewards coming up. And it also kind of suggests to me that they're gonna pass on the ship pass next round, I'm guessing, and try to score with that, and maybe kind of hold on to that from that point onwards. Because it seems natural. They had 2 shipping. It seemed natural to kind of pass on to the ship pass for the second round. But I guess this makes sense as well. Of course, the coins are victory points down the road for Alchemist too, which are fine. And yeah, ship pass is victory points in itself too. And so if you can delay it and get more points later, that makes sense. But yeah, my eye is still on that ship pass tile. At some point, it's going to start to come into play.
Yeah, I think that's a clever play. Is I'm sure they debated it a lot. Like ship scoring is just 6 points for them, right? Like, why would you pass on to coins when there's something that's 6 points, right there? Like, you can turn points into coins as Alchemists. But so I do think that's, I think you're exactly right that I think they're eyeing the fact that everyone else is going to have a longer round than them, and that they could pass first onto that shipping tile, make it a little bit more juicy for themselves, get maybe 9 points out of it next round. And yeah, like one of the like interesting advantages that Alchemists have is that like they can have incredibly long rounds when they want to, right? They can tend to take a lot of power actions. They can advance their digging. They can use workers to just do little digs here and there. Alchemists, just because they can do so many coin conversions, they tend to just be able to have a long round when they want to. And so yeah, I do wonder if that's going to be Team USA's strategy, is do a quick pass here, get onto that bonus tile, and then have a really long round so that no one else gets onto it, so that they can jump back onto it in round 5. And denying other people bonus tile points is also like a way for you to earn points relatively.
Yeah, exactly. You just see the first step of that. Team USA did just pass on to the ship pass. I was actually curious before, because Nomads went before Alchemists, and I was wondering if Nomads were going to kind of pass on to the ship pass as a denial move, but also because the other bonuses don't look great for them. But they've built another trading post. So maybe they went for a second temple here, potentially. Maybe they just want the trading post to balance their worker economy with coins, which also would make sense. But I mean, especially because it's a temple scoring round, it feels pretty natural to do a second temple. And if they do want to advance digging for round 4, then the extra priest income would be very nice. So I still kind of think they might be doing that. They might be doing another temple and advancing dig. I guess the alternative is maybe they leave that trading post up and just do a stronghold next round with that as well. But they have a lot of options, that's for sure.
I do wonder if they're going to, like what they're going to do next round. I guess the stronghold is tempting, but I think so is a sanctuary. Like if they're able to get 2 trading posts up and build the sanctuary for Air One, I think that's a way that they make up points in this game. They still don't have Earth One, and so that's a way that they can make up for that. Not having Earth One is by just and not getting on scoring bonus tiles is by just Water One and Air One. Just keep those up the whole game.
Yeah, definitely. And it also kind of no, they don't have to worry about when to build their trading post. They'll have them up all game and they'll be scoring with them all game. Because that's something I always find is kind of a key in Terra Mystica is like using your trading post for scoring more so than economy. I mean, you can use it for both, but they're really good buildings to score with. And so if you have or if you have Water One and Air One up pretty quickly, you can score a lot of points on trading posts. And yeah, we see them build another trading post actually. So it looks like they could be doing something along those lines for next round.
Yeah, I'm kind of expecting this Air One play, honestly. I think with how many dwellings they got out early, they have a lot of workers. I don't think they need a stronghold because I think they can just do some digging with those workers at some point. And yeah, I do think Air One, like getting up an Air One in round 3 that can sit there and earn you 3, 6, 9, 12 points over the course of the rest of the game is like pretty dang tempting.
Yeah, in this game in particular, and this, as we said, the low scoring setup, those points are really valuable. They're always nice, but especially in this game.
Yeah. One of the interesting things that we see that cultists didn't take Earth One with their temple. They also took Water One. So despite this like early prediction that Earth One was going to be like hotly contested, that people might pass up on juicy power actions in the first round to take Earth One, it's going to be the end of round 2, and we're going to see a copy of Earth One still out there. So who do you think takes that and when?
I don't know. I mean, I wonder if Nomads now would be tempted to take Earth One instead of Air One. I think that might be a mistake if they did, but I mean, I wonder if they'll be tempted. I'm surprised. Yeah, I definitely thought Cultists would take Earth One here. I mean, they're creating some Water One pressure on both Alchemist and Orin. And presumably Orin will do their Stronghold next round and maybe take it, which could deny Alchemist Water One. Unless Alchemist is a Sanctuary next round for Water One. So there's some pressure because of that decision by Cultists. I don't know. Maybe Cultists don't want Earth One this game. It's interesting, especially after hearing the report from Lizzy about how they were thinking about it, and they go in a completely different direction to take Water One. No, I'm surprised. I definitely expect them to take Earth One there.
Yeah. This is really interesting. I have no idea what's going to happen with this next round now. So, like looking at some other interesting things, then. So, like you said, the Water One pressure. So Alchemists have the ability. I think this would be a pretty good line if they could get it to happen. They have the ability to take the workers and then build a sanctuary for Water One and then a stronghold. And doing all that in round 3 is usually really good for Alchemists. The problem is if they take the workers, there's a good chance that Orin just upgrade, to a stronghold, like you said, for Water One immediately. But would Orin like pass up on a coins action if they had that option? Like I don't know. Like there's going to be a lot of mind games, and like I don't know what's coming next round. Like are Nomads going to take Air One? Are Cultists going to like build a sanctuary for Air One? There's still a world where Cultists could like build a sanctuary for Fire 2 and take the 2-key town. Like I think some stuff's about to go down next round, is I guess what I'm saying.
There's a lot of possibilities. This is when Terra Mystica is great. When you just don't know what the heck's going to happen. There's just so many options. So many different things that could be good, but you just don't know. Yeah, it's fun to kind of be in the sidelines and just watch it all unfold. There's no stress. You don't have to worry when you're playing about what's the best move. You just kind of just sit back and just see it all happen.
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm a little bit okay with not playing this one. This game seems like stressful. This game seems really stressful. There's just a lot of tense decisions, and like it's the kind of thing where like I don't know. It's fun to play games where you just steamroll sometimes. You're just like, oh yeah, I just got everything I wanted, and it's just going great. Like, but this game is just like you're kind of no one's kind of getting exactly what they want, and like everyone's getting caught off a little bit, and everyone's having to like figure out, interesting lines, and there's stuff being, there's still a copy of Earth One on the table. Like that's never a decision I have to expect to wrestle with in round 3. Is like, should I take Earth One here?
This is definitely a game where I'm guessing a lot of players are adapting on the fly here, trying to figure out exactly what to do. The original game plans maybe aren't thrown out the window, but are probably off course them quite a bit. Maybe except for Nomads. Again, we kind of mentioned they look like they're just kind of doing what they want to do.
Yeah.
For everyone else, they definitely had to maybe be a bit more creative, especially with the move as we talked about with Cultists, and how that really affects everything else. I have a feeling there's gonna be a lot of tired brains at the end of this game from all the teams. Everyone's
Yes.
head is gonna be ready for a rest.
Yeah, we'll hope the winner is someone's still coherent to give a winner's interview.
Yeah, really.
But yeah, this is just like seeming like an exhausting game to play in.
We see all the 2 spots in the fire cult taken already too. So a big rush for that, which makes sense. And Cultist with a nice position in the fire cult, so they'll cash in for that pretty quickly in the next couple of rounds. The water cult and earth cults are wide open if anyone wants to make a play on those. I mean, there's no cult reward from them, but they are victory points, and in this game, those victory points are important. So I'll also be curious to see if someone else, perhaps Orin, maybe starts throwing more priests to cult as well.
Yeah, what is so Nomads, built their first temple this round, so they're going to have their first, decision, what to do with the priest next round, and I'll be curious to see if they save that to advance shipping or digging, in round 4, like we've been wondering, or if they're just going to throw it to, let's say, Earth Cult, right, and just try to win that. If they throw it to Earth Cult and take Earth 1, suddenly they're at step 5 and gives them a decent chance at at least closing out one cult. Yeah, I'm curious what they'll do with their priest.
Yeah,
everyone else seems to have a use for it, right? Like Orin and Cultists are definitely going to throw their priest to cults. Alchemists probably want to advance digging and shipping, but Nomads it's still the wild card.
Yeah, exactly. And Orin, I mean, definitely in this game, Orin want to close out cults. They want to explore with their landscape here. It's got to be pretty important for them. You can already see they're probably not going to close out Fire Cult. There's a good chance cults will win that. And so I have to think Orin want to prioritize doing well on the other cults in general. Very interesting. US takes the coin action off of that.
Well, I told them to do cool stuff this game. That's pretty cool.
That's
Around
cool.
3 coins action. So I think the thought from US here, and I know I've heard Ranier talk a lot about this before, is just the idea that in a lower scoring game as Alchemists, you have to not do so many coin conversions. Alchemist superpowers that they can do coin conversions, convert their points into coins. But when the game is lower scoring, you don't want to do that as much, just knowing that you're not going to have as many opportunities to turn that economy back into points later on in the game. So I think that's a clever play to deny some coins to the rest of the table, and make sure that they have fewer coin conversions to do this game. All right, we have Lizzie here again, coming in with a report from Team USA. How's it going, Lizzie?
It's going good. So I'm here with a report from Team USA. When I was talking to them, they said that they wanted the ship scoring tile, but they would have been pretty happy with the spade also. And as we can see, they ended up getting the ship scoring tile. They said that they're probably just stranding that east dwelling because of Cultists getting F6. It just ruined a lot of plans for them there, I think. And so they're just going to leave that dwelling there. They're hoping it's not going to impact their network too much. Obviously, they would love to get first in network. They think it's probably realistic that Nomads are going to get first in network. So they're really hoping, I think at this point not hoping. I think that they think the most realistic option is to get second in network to Nomads. I think that's what they're mostly aiming for.
Nice. Ever the realists, Team USA.
Right. They said that their plan is going to be for 3 towns. They're thinking 1 in the west next to the Nomads, 1 in the north somewhere, and 1 sort of starting in the center and then bridging out to one of the grays. And I also asked them about whether the coins was a counter move to Europe, taking the coins tile. They said yes, that the 5 coins was 5 points, and ship scoring was 6, and they definitely were just trying to block Europe there.
Okay, nice to see them being aggressive. I like it. Yeah,
it seems like in this game it's starting off aggressive, and it might just stay that way.
This is. I wonder if this is is anyone thinking about diplomatic relations, for next week? So that's my follow-up. If you get to talk to the other teams, it's like we're going to see this exact same set of teams next week. So I wonder if they're all thinking about teams, retaliating next week against them.
That's a good question. I don't know. I think they're probably just focused on this game, but it's a good point. I mean, I guess you don't want to make someone too angry, or they might come for you next week. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's all my report. So I will talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the insight.
Thanks,
See you
Lizzy.
later.
Well, we know if Bizzle was on Team US, then that would be a big concern. I think you'd be afraid to disrupt Bizzle and have him retaliate on you next game. That seems like a very real possibility to me. The other players you can speak more to than I can, but maybe it's less likely.
Just imagine holding on to that, angst for a whole week and just, like, why did you do that, Bizzle? It's like, because they took the 4 coins tile on me last week.
All that pent up anger, just sitting there stewing for a whole week, just thinking about that nonstop.
Well, we talked about this earlier. If nomads were going to go for a stronghold, and what do you know they did? I had all these other plans for them. We deviated in sanctuary. They're going to take Earth 1. What are they going to do? No, they just go for a stronghold. So suddenly, like Lizzy was just saying, Team USA, they built that trading post in the West, assuming they were going to get a sanctuary or a stronghold town there. I'm assuming, right? I think they wanted to carve down to that blue and that green or the brown and build a stronghold town out there. But suddenly, this nomad stronghold is incredibly threatening, and I don't know where Team USA is getting their towns now.
Yeah, that's very scary to see as alchemists, seeing the nomad stronghold right up next to you, and just knowing they have so much power to just take away any one of your towns. It's scary for all factions, but it looks like they can disrupt alchemists more than anyone else here. I don't know. I was honestly kind of more on board with your plan to do the sanctuary for Air 1. I think in this kind of game, that scoring is important, and you can just build a stronghold in round 5 and still carve out enough town space, I think, to form 3 towns. So I'm a bit surprised. Like, personally, I'm not sure if that's the best move to do the stronghold now. It can't be that bad though. Round 3 is usually a natural round for nomads to build their stronghold or around the middle of the game. And yeah, the pressure is certainly nice. That is a factor as well. Can't discount that. So I'll be curious. Yeah, they could just sandstorm that blue right off the bat here, below the alchemist stronghold, and just completely kind of shred that town that alchemists could be forming there. So they have a lot of power now, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does. Like, I am curious to see, I'm curious to hear their thoughts after the game, or maybe we'll get something from Lizzy about like what their thoughts are with that stronghold, because yeah, it seems like it's going to leave them fairly coin short. It seems like it's not going to be the most short-term points, right? Like, I think a sanctuary for an Air 1 or an Earth 1 is probably more points in the short term, right? In terms of just getting points over the next couple rounds. But like you said, this is super disruptive. It's going to help them get their towns later. So like it's an interesting trade-off. They're a little bit shorter on economy and points now, but is it going to pay off in the long run? Either way, suddenly I'm terrified as alchemist, right?
Yeah.
The gray hexes that they were thinking about bridging to are suddenly under threat. Like you said, that blue hex, where they wanted to make a town in the West is under threat. Your ability, like, alchemists want to do well on network, and suddenly black hexes are potentially under threat. Like, there's so much under threat right now, and alchemists might need a couple bridges to form towns now, and suddenly there's a lot of bridge pressure. Like, I don't know if this is really bad for anyone except alchemists. Like, cultists and Orin are kind of doing their own thing over in the East, but alchemists must be terrified right now.
Yeah, everything's under threat for alchemists. And we see cultists. I think maybe this happened during the kind of the report with Lizzy, but cultists did a sanctuary and took Earth 1. So that's off the board now for nomads. They probably weren't going to take it anyways, but so yeah, cultists do get Earth 1 and Water 1. And they got beat to the 2 key town by Orin, which we did predict. But they will be able to form a town probably next turn. I guess they could force it up this turn, but it doesn't really seem worth it, I wouldn't think. But yeah, no, we finally have all the Earth 1s gone at least. So only took until round 3 for that to happen. But it's nice timing for them too, because they're going into a dwelling round in round 4, and that's just, it'll be natural for them to build a lot of dwellings and to score with not only the track now, but also with Earth 1 as well. So that I think will pay off for them.
Yeah, this seems great for cultists to have gotten everything they wanted. They got an early income favor, and then they were able to turn that into a Water 1 to make sure that they won the race there. And then they also, didn't miss out on the Earth 1 race. Now, I guess it's hard to call it an Earth 1 race when people just weren't taking it, and even in round 3. So, the Earth 1 trawl,
the Earth 1 snail race.
Yeah. I think things are still going really well for cultists. They just finished a town. They're doing well in the cults. They've got a lot of points. Yeah, I think their position's great. We'll see like where they go from here. I guess they kind of did the one thing right. Their cool thing was so that they could make this town and be disruptive in the east. All right, done. They were disruptive. They made their town. What's next? Are they going to advance shipping? Are they going to advance digging? Are they going to like put a huge amount of pressure on Orin on the cults? Just like what's their next plan? Where are they forming another town? This game, I think, is still up in the air, and I have no idea. So
Yeah, I have to think they want a town in round 6 to hit the bonus. Probably not 2 towns, but just 1 town in round 6 to hit that would be nice. Yeah, I'm surprised that they made this town now. They converted the priest to a worker, and a couple power to coins to do this. And they get a cult town, and they're getting an extra worker from the cult income from that town, as well as some power from the cults. So they're getting a lot from that. Yeah, I expect them to wait till next round to make it, but I think it makes sense as well to do it now. But I think they have enough room to expand still. I mean, they could presumably get and they can just maybe even just dig through that blue hex in the east to get to another brown hex, or they could advance their shipping and start to spread out a little bit if they can find room for it. But I don't know. I think they have just enough room kind of to get by here, to have a game at least, a good game.
Okay. Yeah, we see USA just took the single spade and cut off that brown hex in the north. So, if Cultus had any dream of like connecting and expanding to the north with a whole bunch of shipping, I think was a slim dream anyways. That's off the table now.
Oh, and sorry to interrupt, but I don't know how long ago this happened, but we did see Nomad Sandstorm that blue hex below Alchemist Stronghold there. So cutting off any town dreams down that way at least.
Yeah, Alchemists are going to really be struggling for town space at this point, I think. Just Nomads still have 3 more Sandstorms, and that blue in the center that Alchemists would like to dig is under threat. That gray where they could bridge to is under threat. There's just everything is under threat right now. Yeah.
Yeah. They want to bridge. Sorry, they want to bridge their north of the stronghold. That can be under threat too. I mean, the blue hex there would be under threat at least. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. I think Alchemists actually have a pretty good game going, and so that might be part of the decision that Nomads made. Like with that stronghold is, we've been hyping up cultists a bit. Orin just, always kind of had a decent thing going because they're doing well in the cults, but kind of, maybe quietly, Alchemists have just been doing okay. I think they had a really solid game plan once cultists, did that surprising move to dig in the east. I think that it's a really clever thing, that Lizzie was reporting on, that that they're just going to just strand that dwelling. They're going to try to play a heavy network in the east. They did clever things with the bonus tiles and still got on the shipping bonus tile. They're going to pass for 9 points here. They put a priest to fire, so they're getting good income from fire. They've gotten their landscape down already, so they already have 1 digging and 3 shipping. Like, I think USA has a decent game going, and that might have been part of the Nomads decision, is saying like, yeah, Alchemists are a threat. Like, we need to have a weapon to stop them.
Yeah, perhaps maybe we've been kind of talking them down a bit too much. Certainly in terms of points, Alchemists are going to be in the lead once they pass their ship pass tile here at the end of this round, which is always nice, not the be all end all for sure. The only thing is their worker economy is kind of limited right now. They're producing 4 workers. Oh, they're getting 4 from the cult as well. So actually, no, their worker economy is pretty good. Now looking at that again. Yeah, they do have fully advanced digging. Yeah, it's actually, it's a lot better than I'm thinking actually now that I'm looking at it more carefully. And they do have, they have 3 shipping, so they have options to get to other black hexes in the south. They could also triple dig that red in the north maybe to get to that black hex next to Nomads there. So yeah, maybe on a closer inspection, they're doing decently still. I mean, I guess their big issue long-term is town space, with round 6 towns especially, and making sure they carve out safe town space that can't be disrupted by that crazy Nomad stronghold. Yeah, no, I think maybe we were underselling them a bit now.
Yeah, so USA actually just did 3 power to a worker, I think, to advance their digging 1 final time before passing. And what I'm sure that they're thinking about is, they want to have 2 digging ready to go, so that if Nomads open the round with a coins action, then Alchemists can take that red hex in the north. They can do a triple dig on that red hex, or Alchemists can be ready to dig whatever hex they choose, before Nomads get to use their stronghold, if Nomads choose to go for a coins action. So I think a little clever play there to put a little bit of pressure on Nomads and say, like, how badly do you want that red hex versus the coins?
Yeah, it's a bit sneaky. I'm curious to see which hex Alchemists dig. I mean, they have also the green hex in the west, which it still leads to another black hex. They might want that as well, although maybe it could be easily disrupted trying to form a town there. They have the blacks in the south, yeah, but they're not threatened by nomads. So yeah, it does give them first choice for sure of what hex to dig here. I'm curious if Orin are passing now. The ship pass tile is open, but they don't really have any need for it. So the ship pass tile is still hanging out there this round. So that might incentivize maybe a fast round from Alchemist in particular, but also maybe Cultist want to jump on that ship pass tile quickly. So I'll be curious to see if anyone kind of has a bit of a lightning round here or a faster round to jump on that for round 5.
Yeah, that's another big, pro from what Team USA did. So it might seem a little unintuitive, right? The fact that they like converted 3 power to a worker when they could have just waited and maybe taken a worker's action this round. But I do think they wanted to like both have, tempo on like having already advanced their digs so that they can get the hex they want, before nomads take it. And also, like having one fewer action this round, it increases the chance that they'll be able to pass back onto that shipping tile. It's 9 points for them. So right now cultists are the only ones. Cultists have 1 shipping. No one else has any shipping. So, obviously Orin and nomads could want it. They'll want shipping eventually, but alchemists really want to get onto that tile before cultists. And I think the fact that they advanced their digging last round, really increases the chances they're going to do that.
Yeah, definitely. And we do see cultists advance shipping again, so they're definitely planning on some kind of expansion here. They're pretty short in coins. They have a lot of power to turn into coins if they need to. Yeah, I'm curious to see what direction they go here. But yeah, they definitely have shipping plans, so they want to pass on to the ship pass tile as well. So there's officially, I'd say, competition for it in some form at least. But yeah, nomads and Orin don't really have any real incentive right now to pass on to that tile, to advance shipping and pass on to that tile, I don't think.
Yeah, nomads will definitely want 2 shipping at some point, but the question is when. And we do see US going for that aggressive dig across the north, really hoping that Canada doesn't want to use their stronghold, to turn that black hex to yellow. So this battle between Canada and USA is kind of crazy. I think we've got the cult battle going on between cultists and Orin, and then we've got this just territory battle going on between alchemists and nomads.
Yeah, I think after
this game,
after this game, Canada-US tensions will have never been higher. This will be the peak.
All right, so yeah, Canada, they still have their stronghold action to use, and yeah, where it goes this round is, I think, the real story of this round. The 2 of them, and we have Lizzie here again, coming in with a report from Team Canada. So how's it going, Lizzie? And what can you tell us about this, this crazy stuff Canada's been doing?
Yeah, so I was just talking to Canada. I asked them their thoughts about, first of all, the stronghold. They, of course, said the reason for the stronghold, they wanted to sandstorm and carve out their towns more easily. I asked them about their move blocking that blue in the west next to alchemists. And yeah, of course, they wanted to prevent alchemists from getting a town over there. And so they're playing pretty aggressively as well, I think. Just using that one alchemist stronghold to more cheaply build their town and preventing them from getting the alchemist town out there. They said that they're overall aiming for 4 towns, they hope.
Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, they said they're not actually sure if they're going to get 4 towns. They definitely want to get 3, but I think 4 is the ultimate goal for them. They have a quote, actually. It's kind of a hype quote from Canada. Their player right now who's making the moves is Danny B. So the quote is, "To B or to Danny B, we will have to wait and see."
I need a poster with that on my wall.
That's motivational.
I think Danny B should just like have it on his wall. I think it's perfect for him.
We should all ask ourselves every morning when you wake up, are you going to be or are you going to Danny B today?
I think I'm going to Danny B today. Yeah. I also asked them about coins, because I know that after they made that stronghold, they were kind of poor in coins. But since then, obviously, they passed on to the coins bonus tile for, I think, 7 coins. And they also did the coins power action. And so I think they're feeling good about coins again.
Nice. Yeah, they've proved me wrong. I was definitely a little down on their coin game, but they're good.
All right, that's my whole report. So I'll talk to you guys soon.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks for the report.
Thanks, Lizzy.
Sweet. So yeah, we heard they were thinking about being aggressive, typical Canadians, right? Just so aggressive.
Yeah, that's what you always see with us Canadians. That's a stereotype. We're just really aggressive and really rude people.
Yeah.
I'm really curious where they're. I mean, I guess maybe the fourth town's a bit of a pipe dream, and they're kind of just like playing it up a bit because like I don't know where the heck their fourth town would go here. I'd love to see
Yeah.
it. I don't see it, but I'd love to see it. That would be a really
Yeah.
cool 4 towns on the town round in round 6. That would be a sweet game. So I'm pulling for that for sure.
I see 3, but as big of a dreamer as I am, I don't know that my dreams are that big for them.
No.
Yeah, they certainly made life difficult on alchemists, getting even 3 towns. We see alchemists have 1 town. We're good with that. But I don't know if alchemists are getting any more towns. We'll see.
They can probably find a way to carve out at least 1 more. Yeah, I mean, I guess they can triple dig that gray and do a sanctuary there, or not even a sanctuary, just dig the blue in the middle as well, and kind of bridge up and form a town there. And they probably have the resources to form a town in the south or something like that. I think they can maybe get by, maybe still manage 3 towns here.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll find a way.
To see how it plays out. It's hard to tell right now.
There is a decent bit of bridge pressure though now. So we just saw nomads use their stronghold ability to sandstorm that green hex in the south. And so now what I'm seeing is that I think nomads definitely want a bridge for that town. Alchemists probably want at least 1 bridge, maybe 2, to form their towns, just because they have a few stranded buildings there up in the north and the center. They probably want bridges to form towns there. So it's up to 3 bridges that I'm seeing that people would want for the rest of this game. And there's even I could see even Orin wanting a bridge.
Yeah.
Cultists, we missed it this round, but cultists just did a crazy double dig. I think it was a double dig on that red hex over in the east, and so they kind of cut off alchemists or Orin's ability to like form an easy town up through there. And so if Orin wanted to get a town off of those buildings, they might want to bridge to that red hex. So suddenly there's like potentially like all this aggression on all sides, aggression by cultists, aggression by nomads. Suddenly like there's bridges, everyone needs a bridge, and that's going to be really interesting to see who gets those in the final rounds.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's like this bridge pressure kind of just like appeared overnight. Like maybe I was just kind of oblivious to it, but all of a sudden you see all these potential bridge spots cropping up. Yeah, I just noticed with Orin, like as you're talking about, I just noticed it as well. Like cultist move there really cuts them off even more. They could still do a sanctuary town in the east and not bridge across, but they need fire 2 for it, which they probably don't want in this game. They're already in the 10 spot in the fire cult too, so there's nothing good for them there. It's definitely not ideal. And yeah, looking at Orin's position right now, they're also really behind in points relative to alchemists and cultists. They have a good cult position, but not amazing. And they've already formed a town too. They already cashed 1 town. And so it doesn't seem like they have a lot going for them here. I think they're in a really, really tough spot now with that move by cultists.
This is exactly what you were saying at the beginning of the game, is that when you bid someone down to 11 points, it's like you're assuming that the dream is going to happen, right? You're assuming that like everything that can go well will go well. And in a game with like players that are this good, and even having teams of players where you can have, multiple people like whose whole job it is to just like look at everyone else's position and like evaluate who's in the lead and who you need to be attacking. That's made things really rough for Europe. They have gotten nowhere close to like, the dream of what they wanted. And this is looking like a really rough Orin game.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of people talk about maybe it being risky to play a sandwich faction, but I think it's also really risky to bid down a faction heavily, especially in the low scoring setup, just for that reason. Anything happens that puts you off your course, it's really hard to make up enough points when you're already behind by that many points at the start. Yeah, we're seeing that come to fruition now. Like, I mean, there's no way that Orin can manage Can they manage a 3rd town? Maybe in the south? If Orin can get a 3rd town, I mean, maybe they'd have some kind of play.
I'm worried about them getting a second town here.
Yeah, looking a little too far ahead. Yeah, they don't have like an amazing economy either. They have a lot of worker production, but their coins are limited. Yeah, it looks challenging.
They never really got their coins going. They didn't get to take an economic favor because they rushed for Earth 1 and Water 1. Yeah, and the fact that even like alchemists have advanced digging, cultists like might have some spare workers because there's about to be some workers coming on the cults. Like if they try to go for a second or third town, it's just gonna be very easy for them to get cut off. Um, yeah, I think there's a lot of concerns here for Orin's game, and yeah, the fact that Team USA is up 25 points on them, and the fact that cultists are doing like nearly as well as them on the cults and have 20 more points than them, like that's really concerning.
Yeah, and we see Team Canada Nomads, they do an early-ish pass here and pass onto the ship pass tile. So denying it from cultists and alchemists, and maybe scoring it with it themselves too. Not quite sure. I like the play a lot though. I think it was like I'd have to look more closely here to see what else they could have done. I don't know. I would need like a minute to do that. But I think the idea of just denying the ship pass tile here to those two factions is really nice here, and it'll put a lot of pressure on those two factions to get the ship pass tile in the last round too. And maybe make them do kind of suboptimal moves next round just to be able to be in a position to pass for it. And it should also give Canada another coins action too, which when you look at their worker economy and look at the coins they already have, like they're going to have a really, really strong economy in round 5, I think, to cash in. So I mean they're behind in points as well, but I think Nomads here have potential to make up a lot of points.
Yeah, I like this pass a lot from them. So I think it can be kind of counterintuitive to pass. They had 13 coins and 4 workers, right? And a whole bunch of power and a priest, right? Like it can be pretty counterintuitive to pass when you have that amount of stuff. But I think one of the biggest things to look at, right, is like what's the reason why you'd want to use your resources, right? Like what's the reason why you'd want to build stuff now instead of building it later? Well, you'd want to build it now so that you can get income from it or points from it. But most of the stuff that they could build, use their resources to build now is trading posts, right? They don't have any like really easy yellow hexes to reach or anything, so they'd probably just be building a couple more trading posts, which is great for the economy, and to get income from those trading posts. But then I think the second question you ask yourself is, but what does that income actually give me? Is it going to help them form another town? Well, I don't think so, because I think they already kind of have their 3 towns kind of planned out. Is it going to help them win network? I don't think so. It seems like they're already going to win network by a mile. And so in that case, I think I agree with you that I don't think like using those resources and like building more stuff this round, I don't think it was going to get them a lot more points, this round that they couldn't just get next round. And I don't think it was going to help them in like end game scoring or like future like plans, to have that little bit of extra income, especially like considering they're going to get a coins action. Like instead of building a trading post, you can just get a coins action, and that's your way to get coins instead. So, anyways, long story short, I think it's like this is like a perfect time to like pass with a ton of resources and maybe surprise the other teams, because yeah, I don't think it was as good for them to use those resources now as it was to like pass for 6 points and a coins action and deny those points to the rest of the table.
Yeah, it's something really interesting with I think it's a reason why I really like Terra Mystica is that like it's not always better to build more. Like you kind of just think naturally you want to build as much as possible as soon as possible every round you can. And like passing with resources maybe on the surface looks bad. Like it looks like you're not doing everything you can, but it's a lot about timing too, and when you build things maybe more so than what you build. Especially later in the game when you want to really optimize points. So I think it makes a lot of sense. And now that I'm thinking about it more, I'm wondering, are they going to take the coins action or are they going to take a bridge? Because we talked about the bridge pressure, and when you look at the way cultists are building now in the Northeast, they definitely want a bridge for that town, no question. Unless they're going to triple dig the gray and do a sanctuary. I mean, I guess that's an option, but there's certainly bridge pressure, and it would be a tough decision. I don't know if I was Canada if I would take coins or bridge. I might take bridge really to put the pressure on everyone else and to really secure that town because that's so important. I'll be curious to see what they decide there. I'm sure they're talking about it or have talked about it already.
Yeah, I agree. I think the bridge pressure is actually going to be hugely significant. There's now up to like 4 bridges that people want, and there's only after this round there's only 2 left, and no one's taken it this round. It's actually Team USA took workers this round, which I think makes sense, right? It's helping them to build more stuff this round in a dwelling round, but it is I thought there was a chance that they would try to take a bridge, just to get that out of the way. It looks like they're trying to carve out this southern town instead, which makes sense. Just try to avoid a bridge, and instead of taking a bridge, just carve out a different town that doesn't need a bridge. But I do think if USA can get a bridge, they'll still want it at some point.
Yeah, I mean the clock is ticking on a chance to get a bridge. You have two more opportunities. mean, potentially one for Team USA and Team Asia if Nomads take a bridge first action here. So that'll also maybe lead to some interesting decisions for passing in round 5 too. To look ahead a bit, I mean, that's gonna be the most important thing in round 6 potentially is securing that bridge first action for someone. So yeah, we might also see some early passes in round 5. It's a lot of pressure, that's for sure. A lot of kind of tension on the board.
Yeah, it's gonna be this weird balance too, where like people want to pass early to get the bridge, but they also would like to stay in the round so that they can have a chance at the Nomad's bonus tile. And I do really wonder like what's going to win out. I guess someone's going to pass early, so someone's going to pass early, and and then you're going to assume they're getting the bridge, and then everyone else is just trying to then stall out Nomads, I guess. So yeah, like there's those two things pulling teams in opposite directions, and I wonder which one's going to win out for a team. Because now, okay, Orin did take the bridge this round. I was going to say Orin were also in need of a bridge, but they got it out of the way this round. So we're down to, there's still potential. I could see a world where like teams want 4 bridges. Alchemist could still maybe use 2. Cultists could use 1, and Nomads can use 1. So we're at 2 rounds left, and at least 3, maybe even 4 bridges, that people want. That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're so important in this game with those round 6 town scoring event, and with there not being a ton of our other scoring options. Like if you're losing out in a town from being bridge blocked here, that's a lot of points you're losing out. With this game in particular. So I mean, sometimes bridge pressure can be a bit overblown, I think, but I don't think it is. I think in this game it's legit. Like it's really a big factor here. And yeah, it all really boils down to Team Canada's early pass there that really puts a lot of pressure on everyone. Well, we'll see if they do take a bridge here. We'll see if they end up taking coins to the bridge. That will dictate a lot. But if they do take the bridge, there's just so much pressure.
Yeah, I think the action that they passed was actually the action that I think USA was ready to pass. Like I think USA was ready to pass for their next action and take the bridge. Like I do think that was Team USA's plan. They had seemed to they had used up most of the resources. They built a lot of dwellings. The best thing for USA would have been to pass on to 9 points and a bridge. Now it's looking like USA, USA was able to have a longer round because they didn't pass. They took the workers. They're building some more stuff. But so that's good for them. It got them a few more points now. But I do think it was a big blow to USA. Like they would have loved it, 9 points, and potentially the fact that Canada's passed first and is if they take this bridge, that's potentially costing USA a town in a town round. And plus the 9 points from the shipping tile. That's massive. They might have just taken away 25 points from Team USA. That's crazy.
Huge swing, yeah. And we see Canada take the bridge off that. So and Asia instantly takes the coins right after. So yeah, the squeeze is on. It's good to see. Maybe Canada read the US like a book there. They got a playbook on Sprockets' or the US team strategies. Maybe they got a good read on them. If you're right, if they were about to pass. So that's nice to see for me.
Yep. This mind games battle is crazy.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what USA does with this round now. It's a sanctuary round, so they could build a sanctuary for Air 1 or something, but the fact that all the water ones are gone is a bit of a bummer for them. It seems like they're going to get 2 towns, but I don't really see them getting 3. I just USA's done a good job so far recovering from some of the bad stuff that's happened, but this is kind of the point where it's well, there's no water one left. We're not on a scoring bonus tile. We're only getting 2 towns in a town round. What now? I'm curious to see what their plan's going to be.
And it's nice. I mean, it's nice for them that they do have a bit of a victory point cushion here at least. I mean, they're ahead in points, which you don't always see for Alchemists kind of near the end of the game. Alchemists often cash in a lot late. It depends on the game, I guess. But you don't see Alchemists being ahead in points too often. And they also passed on to the 6 points tile, which is probably 6 points for them, assuming they use all the coins down the road. So that's still good for them too. Definitely forming 2 towns. I mean, maybe there's a way they could form a 3rd town still if they pass early and snag a bridge and bridge up from there. Either the stronghold or the temple in the middle. If Team USA can hit 3 towns in the last round, I think they have a good game, a chance to win.
Yeah, I think that's probably what they're taking a long turn right here, and I think that's what they're considering is they could triple dig that gray hex right now, and then try to get a really early pass for the bridge. That could be a way that they get this town. So I'm sure they're thinking about it. Yeah, how how they want to play out this round. They had an ability last round. This is something interesting I want to point out too. USA had an ability last round to convert a priest to a worker and use it to build an extra dwelling in a dwelling round down. Like they have a free black hex in the south, and they didn't. So to me, what that says is they might want to have kept that dwelling free, to maybe build on that gray hex this round. So yeah, I think whatever we see from them is going to be interesting and like have been the result of a really long deliberation.
Yeah, that would be interesting. That's the kind of thing that's so easy to forget about, just in general. To keep track of how many buildings you have on the board and whether you need to keep a dwelling to build another hex that you need. Because yeah, there's an open black hex in the southwest that looks so natural to score an extra couple points on in this game. But yeah, I mean, well, their first move was to build a sanctuary though, so I'm assuming they take fire too. I mean, air one looks tough to score a lot with unless they build some trading posts this round. Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, we're waiting for cultists to decide on Leash right now, but I'll be curious what favor they pick here.
Yeah. And then meanwhile, so we mentioned this briefly, but Orin did get the good setup for their second town. So it looks like Orin are going to comfortably get 2 towns. I don't see a third in their future, but
No.
they're comfortably getting 1 more town last round. So that's good for them. They have really good cult presence right now. They're probably getting, a first place, and 2 second places or something like that. That's great for them. They have a respectable number of points right now. They still have a town coming. So I think, this isn't going to be like a horrible game for Orin or anything. It's just maybe not explosive. And it seems like the point gap might be pretty big.
Yeah.
What do you think about their game, I guess, compared to what we were talking about a couple rounds ago?
Yeah, I think I still kind of don't think they have a great game going personally because they have 1 town to cash in on. They've already gotten 8 points in their landscape by winning cults. Maybe they can win 1 more cult and get another 4 points with that. They're not going to score with bonuses at all unless they can find a way on ship pass, which would be nice for them. For network, are they even going to beat cultists in network? I'm not sure. They might not get any network points. Maybe they can manage 6 network points or 3 network points or something like that. I mean, they have Earth 1, Water 1. They'll get some points, but I don't know. Maybe I'm underestimating them, but I think their like ability to score points here, like late in the game, is still pretty limited. Like I don't know. I'd pick them to finish last personally, even with the cult presence they have.
Yeah, the cult presence is at least going to be. It's kind of hidden. It's like it makes it hard for everyone else to figure out exactly how many points they have. Like it's potentially like, I don't know, like 28 points or something that they could have just like not showing on their scoreboard. But like you said, if they're not able to score any network points, that could be like quite a bit of a bummer for them, right? That like, so Nomads and Alchemists seem like they're clearly getting first and second in that order. But then this fight for third, to get 3 or 6 points, between Cultists and Orin is a bit underwhelming. So like Cultists and Orin are going to absolutely dominate the cults and get no network, and then vice versa for Nomads and Alchemists.
Yeah, unless Nomads make a push on Earth Cult. I thought they might at one point because they were leading Earth Cult. But I guess they didn't have a lot of incentive to do that. There's no reward for it. And they can use their priest now to advance shipping and score that way probably, which makes more sense, I think. It's interesting to see Team USA did take Air 1 with the favor. So that implies they're going to be building at least 1 trading post this round. Which it's always good for alchemists to produce coins, which are victory points. So it'll delay kind of their pass a bit. But yeah, I'm surprised. I thought they would take Fire 2 instead. But I guess maybe they're settling for 2 towns here and want to score points with Air 1 and with trading posts up this round, which also I think makes sense, especially because they don't have Water 1.
Yeah, I really think they were considering, if they wanted to like triple dig that gray hex that Nomads just took and push for a 3rd town. But I think they probably just thought the risks were too great. They probably needed to like secure worker towns to make sure that they could do it, and then they wouldn't be building their sanctuary this round maybe, and so they'd be getting fewer points there, and they wouldn't have Air 1. So they were probably just doing the math and figured it was safer to just not go for a 3rd town, and just the sanctuary Air 1 play was going to be more points in the end.
That's true. Yeah, the Air 1 is definitely the safe play here. Yeah, I'm not doing any math. I can't do math while doing this. There's no way I have the brain power for that. So yeah. I trust their 4 heads more than my 1 head, or whatever they have there.
Yep. And then we haven't talked about Cultist game a lot, but I think Cultist actually well, we said at the beginning of the game that we thought they might have been in the strongest position after auction, and it seems like they are still in a fairly strong position. I think I think there's a world where they get a couple network points. I think that it seems like they're going to probably win one cult and get second in the other two cults. That's a lot of cult points. If they can pass first for the bridge, I think they're going to get another town in a town round. They still have Earth 1, Water 1 to score a lot of points from, and they have a hell of a lot of resources right now. They can build a stronghold this round it's a 12-point stronghold and be in the points lead after this round. Oh, wait, no, they already passed.
I was gonna say, they just passed, as you were talking there, they just passed, so knowing the stronghold, really securing that bridge for the last round. So they passed for the spade bonus tile.
Oof.
So that's a very early pass, that's for sure. Definitely securing that for themselves, which, yeah, it's very important for them, so you can justify it. I do think they are losing out a bit by not getting that stronghold up this round. No, normally with the cultists, you want your stronghold up as late as possible because it's terrible economically. It doesn't do anything for your economy. But in this game, hitting it with that round 5 stronghold round looks pretty nice for points when there's limited options. So maybe ideally they'd want to do that and pass for the bridge, but it just maybe seemed too risky for them.
Yeah, I just wonder though, right? A town in a town round's a lot of points, but you know what else is a lot of points? Like a 12-point stronghold.
Yeah.
So at some point, maybe was it worth the risk to just best case scenario, you get both. You get a 12-point stronghold and a town in a town round. Worst case scenario, oh well, you got a 12-point stronghold. How can you be too sad about that? And they'd probably be able to build a couple extra dwellings this round, and that would help their ability to, compete on network and makes their economy a little bit better. Yeah, I think it's borderline. I think there was a world where they got bridge blocked, and missed the town, and it still would have been worth it to build a stronghold and a trading post and a dwelling, and spend this round expanding their economy a little bit more.
Yeah, I think for me, if I was in their position, I would really try to factor in. I'd try to look ahead in the game and really try to predict how well I'm doing. If I think I can win the game without having to build the stronghold in round 5, then I would do what they did and pass for the bridge to secure the bridge in round 6. If I thought that was gonna be good enough for a winning game, I'd go ahead and do that because it would.
Yeah, I guess so. That is part of the consideration is are they doing the calculations and if they have themselves in the lead versus we talked about this at the beginning. If you have yourself in the lead, maybe you play it a little bit safer versus if you don't have yourself in the lead, maybe you need to play a little riskier. So if Team Asia thinks they're winning this game, as long as they get the town, then it's obviously the right play to just make sure you get the town. But if you think it's going to be close, then maybe you do need to take that extra risk and go for the stronghold this round and hope you get both.
Yeah, and we saw. I'm back now again. I guess you couldn't tell, but we saw they spent a lot of time thinking on it. They're down to 4 seconds in their clock, and Canada's down to 9 seconds in their clock. So it's been a lot of kind of deep thinks here as we've gone later into the game. So it's definitely something that I'm sure Asia deliberated on pretty hard.
Yeah, and Team Europe's, they're down to 30 seconds now and still running. Yeah, this is I wonder if we'll see some crazy clock pressure in the final round. It's hard when you're having been on the other end of this, right? It's really hard when you have when you're down to this crunch time. It's a close game. There's a lot of close races here, and you've got 4 people who all want to contribute. Who all have a valuable thing to contribute to the conversation. It's hard being able to let that discussion happen, and then come to a consensus and make a timely move that everyone is happy with.
Yeah, I don't know what that dynamic is like, but it must be hard to deliberate and talk about everything in that constrained time. It's even playing by yourself, it's hard when you have time pressure. You have to really just kind of go with your gut sometimes, or just go with your instincts. It makes a big difference. You don't really think about it until maybe you're in a tournament like this when you're playing under fast time and under settings like that. Yeah, but no question it can be a factor in decision making.
Yeah. So what Orn ended up doing after that long think was just building a trading post. So that was maybe a little anticlimactic, but yeah, I mean, so the advantage of Orn securing their bridge last round and everything that they did is that they're under no pressure to pass early. Like they can continue expanding their economy, and it does seem like Orin are going to have the upper hand on beating cultists in network now, just because cultists did such an early pass, and are therefore going to have fewer resources going into the final round than they could have. Whereas Orin are going to get to spend their whole round like building these trading posts, building extra dwellings, and getting their economy that way. So that's a plus for Orin, I think, and a slight minus for cultists. It's just this ability to like this fight for third place on network, I guess.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. There's a lot of repercussions, I guess, for passing early. And one thing is you don't have as good of an economy. You don't get as many structures out. And yeah, if you're fighting for network points, that can make a big difference for sure. I'm also looking at kind of the positions now, and alchemists are, because the cultists passed early there, alchemists are now passing after nomads. And alchemists did take the worker action, so presumably they're going to try to delay here until nomads pass so they can hop on their ship pass tile. Which we talked about earlier, alchemists are the masters of delaying, so they should be able to do that, I would think. And we see nomads also start to advance shipping, and they also did a sanctuary for Air 1, so they're going to start cashing in points this round. I think we'll see the point differentials even up a lot more by the end of this round.
Yep. Yeah, this is looking really strong for nomads, right? They're gonna be passing for, they only have one more priest, so it looks like they could take another priest and get to 3 shipping if they wanted. But they're gonna be passing for at least 6 points, I think, plus the 3 points from Air 1, and they've got their 3 towns like set up ready to go. So that feels really strong for them. Yeah, I think this is a really strong game plan from nomads. They didn't do a lot of what we expected, but it does seem like this stronghold is paying off. I think they cut off alchemists, who would have been a really strong competitor if they hadn't been cut off, and it's helped them do 2 like really expensive transformations. They turned a gray to yellow, and they turned a green to yellow to help secure this town space. So I think that's been like really key for them to have that stronghold up.
Yeah, I think so too. As much as we kind of were critical of the decision at the time, or I was at least, like in hindsight, you definitely see the benefits of it here. And their economy didn't suffer. They ended up, like looking back in round 4, we thought they're going to be low on coins from building the stronghold, and they passed on to the 6 coin bonus and got a coin action. And that kind of has been able to fuel everything else they want to do, including advancing shipping now for points, which they probably wouldn't be able to do if they didn't get all those coins in round 4. So kind of having that sequence of events, I think, ended up being really beneficial for them. And it almost looks like they can just go on autopilot for the rest of the game. Like it looks like their game plan is really obvious, just to cash in the 3 towns, to win network, to maybe fully advance shipping here. I think 5 of them are fully advanced shipping. I think they have the economy to do that and still score in 3 towns. So yeah, it looks good for them, I think.
Yeah, I think the big question now is if it looks like they're not even going to need Fire 2, honestly, to finish these 3 towns. I think it is going to be a big question if they choose to take it anyways. It might give them some better tempo on taking the towns they want, and it might like make them, maybe they don't have to build as many dwellings, because they take Fire 2, and that's what they want because they don't have Earth 1. So yeah, I think that's going to be their big decision left. Is I think like, do they take Fire 2 and when, and what towns do they end up with? But yeah, this, no one can interrupt their game plan now. They got their bridge. They have all the spaces they need. They're on a scoring bonus tile. Like nobody can disrupt like the core of their plan, which was this 3-town game.
Yeah, that's really nice. That's such a good feeling going into the last round, knowing your game plan is set and knowing you don't have to worry about being disrupted or kind of having to calculate precise resources to know exactly what you can do. I mean, it's always good to do that, but it's just like it's just such a good feeling going into that last round, having a solid game plan and kind of seeing it be executed. Yeah, and you talked about Fire 2. If they did want Fire 2, I don't think there's a rush for it either, because it doesn't look like Orin want Fire 2 at all. Sometimes you see in round 6 town games there's a bit of a Fire 2 rush, because everyone wants to save their towns for round 6 and then cash them all at once. But I don't think we'll see that here, because I don't see why Orin would take Fire 2 except to deny it from nomads, but I don't think that makes sense for them.
Yeah, it seems like alchemists are going to want it, just because they've got this awkward town in the southwest that they're going to have to do some like expensive digging on, or build some expensive trading posts maybe or something, unless they take Fire 2. So I think alchemists and nomads might both want it, but yeah, I agree that Orin and cultists probably don't need it unless there's just some sort of denial in play.
Yeah, so we're starting to see round 5 not quite wrap up, but getting there. And now we can see kind of if alchemists delay to get nomads past tile, which presumably they do. And we can also see here if nomads want to take a priest and do the full shipping advance. Can they? Oh no, they can't quite afford it. Yeah,
They could have afforded it, but they chose to, I think, do a hard dig, and then so they're also trying to stall out alchemists.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
so
they
yeah, they
spilled
could have
dwelling
gone
there.
for the full shipping advance play. Yeah, no, I think nomads can probably outstall. Well, nomads could outstall alchemists if they wanted, I think, but maybe they don't want to. Right? Like they might have to like compromise their own game plan a little bit and like take a priest in order to do that or something. So if alchemists can get on this this shipping tile, that's huge. That's huge, right? That's 9 points.
Yeah.
None of these other tiles are going to be able to get them 9 points. Like temp shipping obviously just doesn't do much for them. A priest, they're not doing well enough on the cults to where a priest is going to be that significant. A coin, 3 power, and a worker is like nice, and they could maybe use a worker in the last round, but there's no way that's like nearly as significant as just getting 9 points.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting decision. Like, if Canada can outweight alchemists, like, do they? Is it worth it for them? Like, maybe they don't advance shipping at all anymore, past the one shipping they have now to delay. But is that a good decision? Like, is denying them that bonus tile important enough? I guess. I don't even know if they can outweight them. I mean, alchemists certainly have 3 more actions if they want. Well, nomads do take a priest, so they're doing something else. They're delaying a bit at least. But yeah, I still kind of think maybe alchemists can outweigh nomads. I don't know. It's hard to tell with alchemists because they always have to factor in the power they have from digging and math.
Yeah, so they can they can build a dwelling, and I think alchemists probably have 2 more actions and nomads have 2 more actions, I think. Nomads could have a 3rd action. Like nomads could just like do a hard dig or something, like convert power to a worker into a hard. Like I don't know. This is intense. I think both teams like have it in mind what they're doing. They're making their moves quick here, but I don't know what they're thinking.
It's a big moment here.
Alchemists can do this if they want. Or like they might have a chance to do this. Like they might have to go like power to a worker, but
I mean, I think as alchemists, you do anything you can to delay for that tile. There's just, as you said, like nothing else is worth it for them. I think, I think you do everything you can in your power to outweigh nomads. Although with that move, building a dwelling there, I don't think they can anymore.
Well, so they still
if
have
nomads
one.
Want to. Yeah.
They have 1 priest left that can be a worker. It depends on what nomads do here. Like I think nomads would just want to convert stuff and advance their shipping, right? It gets them points on the bonus tile. And they need 2 shipping to connect.
That's true. Yeah, they need 2 shipping regardless. I guess unless they think, they did advance shipping. Okay, so alchemists will get their bonus tile.
USA does it. Let's go.
USA. Canada couldn't quite hold the fort in that one. No, the only reason maybe that nomads would want to, like, let's say, send a priest to, I guess they can send a priest to Earth and do something with that power and delay that way. If they thought alchemists were their biggest threat and giving them the ship pass tile was kind of going to be really important kind of for deciding the final result. But no, I think, cultists still look like to me kind of a threat here. I mean, maybe I'm underestimating Ornn as well. So yeah, no, I think that makes sense for them just to advance shipping and try to score.
So to talk about the finals, like the overall standings a little bit, one of the interesting things is that Canada's shot to win, Canada's shot to like win and go with home field advantage into the finals was for them to get first, Asia to get second, USA to get third, and Ornn to get fourth. And I think that's possible. Just like kind of looking at the scores, we think Ornn were doing the worst, and like we think cultists have a decent game, and we think nomads are going to score a lot in their town. So like that world that Canada needed to happen, like I think there's room for it to happen. Which is cool to see that like this is going to be a really exciting final round with a lot of ramifications.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. we'll have to let it play out.
All right, and we're bringing in Lizzie again with a report from Team Europe. How's Team Europe doing, Lizzie?
Hey, I was just talking to Team Europe. They don't seem as down on their chances as you guys think they are.
Uh-oh. We're
Um,
wrong as usual.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you're wrong. I think maybe, I don't know if they're being optimistic or you're being pessimistic. I don't know which one it is.
Well, both.
Yeah, probably both. You could say.
I think that they have a plan for the rest of the game. They were considering actually towning in the southeast on H6, I-10, and I-11. I don't know if they're still planning on doing that. It was just something they were considering. They were also considering advancing digging, maybe going more for network. And so I think maybe that's more going to be the plan going forward. They say that they're, quote, crushing on the Colts. So at least they're happy about that. They're pretty sure that they're going to win Earth Colt, and obviously the other two, and they're happy to take second place on the Water Colt. They, I think, are actually hoping to beat Cultists on network and maybe even Alchemists if their plan goes according to plan for the rest of the game. They think they're probably going to just build a bunch of dwellings and just try to do better on network than they seem to be doing right now. I actually was able also to ask them about early in the game in round 2 when Cultists triple dug F6. What was their reaction to that? And I was very surprised to hear this. They said they were expecting Cultists to dig F6.
Wow.
That's what they always say.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll believe that.
Maybe they're just saving face, but I mean, they seemed pretty adamant that that's what they were expecting. They said, "Oh, we weren't getting G6 anyway. We don't mind. Cultists can take F6. We'll just get some leech. We need some neighbors." And I was like, really? Like, I thought you would have wanted to have a town there. And they said that no, that actually Cultists digging D7 was actually a lot worse for them. I think they were hoping to get D7 and C5 for their town. And then when Cultists dug E7, that was a blow. But, they were able to get their town anyway with the bridge. And so I guess it didn't matter too much. But I was just pretty surprised to hear that.
But yeah, some good confidence. You can't see them, right? Tears rolling down their face. They're like, yeah, we didn't want it that bad at all.
Maybe.
The ultimate optimist on the surface.
Oh, sorry. What did you say?
No, I said that they're the ultimate optimists on the surface. I like the optimism. I like the optimism.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone kind of has to be an optimist, right? Like, you don't want to be playing the game and think to yourself, well, I have 0 chance and everything sucks.
That's true.
That's definitely like that's a key part of team members too, I think. So like last week when we were playing, and as nomads we missed out on Earth 1 and I was like, oh no, everything is terrible. And Lumen was there like, guys, it's okay, we're doing well, trust me. So yeah, that's cool to hear that they got that going on too. That that things, didn't happen, that they maybe would have loved, but they're like they were prepared for it and they're staying optimistic.
Yeah, they're still going for it. They've still got a plan. They want to build, I think, more dwellings and do better on network. So I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out for them. And I think that's it for my report.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for the report from Europe.
Thanks, Lizzie. Yeah, it's interesting. And I was just thinking, I'm kind of looking at it more. Is there any way we're underestimating Orin? I mean, do they have a shot?
That's what I said. That's what I said, right?
Yeah, I'm second guessing everything now.
I don't like. I mean, yeah, they're crushing the cults. I think they're getting at least 6 network. I think, and there's maybe a world where they get 9. Alchemists have this stranded building. So that's maybe not super ideal for them. They're not on a pass tile, but this is. I think this is going better for Orin than we thought. I think they're right to be optimistic. They've got 16 coins, 14 workers. They've still got a cult win coming in at another town. I think this is going perfectly well.
Yeah, they're on a nice stack of resources. Them and cultists, nice big pile of resources. I'm looking at it. I'm starting to wonder if at least I was like overestimating cultists too. I mean, they have a lot of resources and they have another town coming. Can they score much more after that? Like, I thought they'd be doing better in cults than they were. I thought them and Orin would kind of split cults more, but it looks like, as Team Europe, I guess, says, they have a dominating cult game, and it's looks like that right now. So I guess I don't know. Cultists with Earth 1 and Water 1 have to be able to find ways to score points with those resources in the last round. So they can probably still score pretty well. But I don't
Just
know. Yeah,
looking
I'm
at their
definitely
two
rethinking
positions,
everything.
right? Like without doing too much math, so we can say that like Orin are 9 points behind Cultists right now, but they're doing much better on the cults. They're doing much better on network, and they both have a town coming in and no pass tile, right? So they're in like
Yeah,
they both have a lot of resources, and they have Earth 1, Water 1, right? So like they're kind of in a similar position, except for the fact that Orin, you know, like I think the amount of stuff that Orin's going to gain in endgame points just seems like a lot bigger of a gap than the fact that Cultists only have a 9 point lead right now.
that's true. And I mean, they do have like Orin have. I guess both factions have some room to expand. Not much for Cultists. They have maybe a black hex and a brown hex there. Orin can expand in the southeast a bit if they need to, do some hard digs potentially. So yeah, they have room to grow a network as well. If they can tie or pass Alchemist in network, that would be a pretty big swing. I think that I didn't see coming at least.
Yeah, I think alchemists usually just have a way to build more dwellings if they want to. The problem is like alchemists aren't scoring. Like alchemists would like to not build more stuff because they don't have water ones. So all these trading posts that they're building are actually just like they're just sinking resources into those trading posts. And so I think alchemists would like to avoid building more trading posts and dwellings if possible, but they might have to just keep Orin away on network.
Yeah, I mean they don't have they don't have like I don't know what Alchemist's I guess plan is this round other than to finish up their two towns I guess in the most efficient ways possible. I mean obviously they have fully advanced digging and shipping, so they're not scoring with that. Cults they can't do too much on. Yeah, I guess they have to really compete for network and build out. But as you said, without water one, it's not that efficient for them. So yeah, I think they might. They do the ship pass tile, of course, which is huge for them. So that's a big source of points as well. But I don't think they have too much they can do this round.
Yeah, alchemists are just finishing up these two towns, and that's about it. Like they could theoretically connect, but it's so easy for that to get cut off by other players, and so I doubt they're gonna try it. And it doesn't seem like they're beating on nomads on network, even if they did connect. So yeah, I doubt they're gonna try that. It just seems like I don't know if they're gonna take fire 2 or just try to finish building out these towns, normally. But yeah, so alchemists just they also seem to fairly have their game locked up, but oh my god, look at how many points Canada has. Canada's finished 2 of their towns, they've just got a ton of
they're
points.
piling them in now. Yeah,
and they're going to beat alchemists on
fast and furious.
They're going to beat alchemists on network. They're scoring about the same amount of cult points right now. I think they might actually be scoring literally the same amount of cult points if the game ended right now. So yeah, I don't know. It's close. Alchemists have one more town and a pass tile, compared to nomads coming in. So I really don't know how the race is going to play out between them. And then like you said, we've got Orin, the sneaky dark horse here with just all of the endgame scoring points coming in. It does look so just comparing them, it's seems like cultists are doing worse than Orin, and if we think that alchemists and nomads might be doing a little better than Orin, that probably puts cultists in last. But I don't know. Maybe we're getting all this, all these relative valuations wrong. I have no idea. So
it's good when you don't know what's going to happen at the end. I like it. Yeah, I gotta say, it leads to an exciting game for sure.
Yeah,
it's also I'm just looking at the board. It's so weird to see that Alchemist, Stronghold, and Sanctuary just stranded on their own. They just have nowhere to go with them. Just not part of a town, just kind of on their own little islands there. It's fine. It's not. I guess it's not ideal, but I don't know. I don't remember seeing that with Alchemist. It's funny looking at.
Yeah, and just going back again, I said early on the play of the game might be that cultist double dig, but this Nomad Stronghold is looking to just be hugely influential on the rest of the game. It's I think there's a really good chance that alchemists might have run away with this if they if alchemists were allowed to get a third town easily, right? And I think they do probably easily get a third town if nomads don't build the stronghold. And so that's a really huge swing, I think. And if Canada ends up winning this game, I think I think there's a reasonable chance based on these scores that Canada wins this game by a narrow margin over alchemists, a margin that easily would have been made up, by alchemists forming another town. And so so I think that's looking to be the hugely consequential play of this game.
Yeah, I starting to think so too. It was a suffocating move, I think, to get that stronghold up and kind of squeeze out alchemist town space. I think one thing that Alchemist have done really well. I don't think we've talked about this game, but they've done really well with not. I don't know because I have to look at the stats, but it doesn't seem like they converted too many victory points to coins this game. Which is good, especially in this kind of as you said, lower scoring setup. They don't want to do that too much. And I'll be curious to look at the stats afterwards, but it seems like that's how they've managed to kind of be at such a high point total right now because they've only cashed in one town, which they just cashed in a turn or two ago. So they haven't scored a lot of points on towns yet, but they're sitting at 90 points, which is quite nice with another town coming in and the ship pass tile. So I think they did a good job kind of maybe not being overly ambitious with coin conversions this game.
Yeah, I think like I mean, the bummer news is they didn't do a lot of coin conversions, but you know what else they didn't do a lot of? Build buildings. Like, so, like that's the downside, right? Like they're not going to do that well on network. They're like only going to form 2 towns. They don't have water one. So yeah, but I think that's like an important thing to realize is like when you realize that you're getting cut off, when you realize that you're maybe going to get water one blocked, when you realize that there's not a lot of pass tiles in the game for you to make up points, like the thing you have to accept then is okay, then I don't have this ability to convert my all of the coins that I convert back into points at the end of the game. Because what you're really doing, when you're converting a coin to a point early in the game, you're hoping that the fact that you did that will allow you to convert a coin to more than a point late in the game, or like that the thing you're building is going to allow you to convert more convert into more points later in the game. And so I think USA just realized like they didn't have the ability to do that this game, so they took that coins action in round 3. They built their stronghold, and they just haven't worried about doing too many coin conversions since then.
Yeah, it really is like a long-term investment, isn't it? Like converting coins early, trusting it's gonna pay off later on, when things kind of go your way or even out more. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to see, and I think that generally can give Alchemist some flexibility. Like if you can do things like take the 7 coin action. I know they're on the 6 coin bonus at one point, so they're getting coins that way as well. So it's kind of an interesting way for Alchemists in general, in this game, but also in general, to kind of make up victory points that they would be converting otherwise.
Yeah. So, so I think Alchemists have done a good job here. Nomads just looking really strong. It seems like Nomads, like my gut feeling right now is that Nomads are going to have this one. And yeah, so then thinking a little bit forward then to, based on the endgame result, we'll get to know who has home field advantage next week. And so just to run down some of the scenarios real quick. So Canada, like I've repeated a couple times, their scenario for getting home field advantage is they want to win the game, have Asia get second, Europe get fourth, that means USA's getting third, and then they'd have to win a tiebreaker with Europe. It doesn't look like that's going to happen. It looks like Canada can win, but it just doesn't look like Asia is going to be getting, the second place that they would need for Canada. So that takes us to other scenarios. So now, if USA could get home field advantage and win the group stage by winning the game and having Europe get no better than second, or no, sorry, if they win the game, they just go through, as the first place. So like I think there's still a chance of that. But if they get second place, which I think also seems reasonable to happen, and Canada gets first, then depending on if Europe gets third or fourth, there might be some tiebreaker situations involved. So I think this is possibly going to come down to some tiebreakers between USA and Europe. That's like my gut feeling here is that it's going to be USA and Europe like neck and neck for the points race after this. So I wonder if these players are also considering that, the tiebreaker here is going to be percentage of the winning team's score that they got in every game. So like kind of cumulatively. So I wonder if there's anyone like frantically doing some spreadsheet math to figure out like exactly how many point difference they need to keep Europe, to make sure that like they get the tiebreaker on them. But that's going to be really interesting. Well, we'll definitely have the announcement, at the end, like who's winning, who's getting home field advantage at the end. But the math is too complicated for me to do right now.
Yeah, that'd be fascinating if just one member from one of the teams was just kind of assigned to math duty and just figuring all this out and just determining it. Like, I'm glad you're on the ball with all these scenarios because I don't know any of them. But it's good that you are. And like we've seen in this tournament that home board advantage has made a difference. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Asia, the game they won on Fjords, was their home map. and someone else won their home map too.
Europe did. Yep, Europe did.
Yeah,
and
Europe
then
won their home map as well.
Canada's
Canada
at the
won this
very
game,
least.
yeah.
It's looking like they win this, or at very least put up a really strong performance on their home map. So, yeah, it is seeming significant to like play this format you're most comfortable with, and at the time you're most comfortable with, and that most of your team members can make. And yeah, it's going to be big, I think, for whoever gets it.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll be very interesting kind of to see how the stretch run plays out here.
Yeah, but yeah, talking about math duty, like, there's already enough math to do at the end of the game here, right? Where you're like trying to figure out, like, it's like doing math is easy for like the end game scoring. You're like, oh yeah, we just give Orin 8 points for fire, and Cultist 8 points for water, and that part's easy. But then when you're trying to figure out, okay, like with these 14 remaining workers that Cultists have, are they gonna advance digging or build more trading posts? And you're trying to like figure out the math on that, and you're like, what will they do? And I was on that duty last week for USA. I had this spreadsheet out, and I'm like, yeah, they're either ending at like 138 or 148, or I don't know. It's stressful enough. And then when you have these like meta considerations of like, oh, but then we want Canada to finish with a less gap, with Europe, and yeah, and like if you're trying to figure all that too, like it's over. Like you need someone just not listening to the team, just on mute, like doing calculations. And yeah, I wonder if anyone's got that right now.
It's a lot. That's like an interesting role. It's like you kind of just do your calculations, you communicate them to whoever you need to, and you're just like, yeah, good luck, do what you want with these. They could score 130, could score 140, could score 150. I don't know. You're just your guess. Your guess is as good as mine, even after calculations. We see cultists, they're doing their stronghold for their town up north, which makes sense. They don't really want fire too either, and they probably do another. Well, they definitely will dig the black hex in the corner and do a dwelling there and a trading post next to Orin to complete the town. Will they have enough after that to advance dig? I'm kind of thinking that might be their best scoring play here, because it doesn't look like they're gonna get any network points.
Yeah, they're not getting network. They don't have a lot to do on cults. Like all their cult positions pretty locked up. They don't have a pass tile. They don't need to bother advancing shipping. Yeah, it seems like either building a couple more trading posts or advancing digging or something is probably going to be what they do with their spare resources.
Yeah, it's actually, if I'm kind of like zooming out and look at the map, like, or the board, it's interesting because like we've talked about a lot this game, I guess, on how nomads have kind of had their game plan go according to their plan, and you can kind of see like they're building in their standard spots, I guess, in the map. For anyone that's played the base map, you kind of often see yellow building these spots. What you don't see is cultists building a town in the top right corner like they are. You don't see Orin doing like a bridge town that kind of goes across the eastern continent, and you don't see alchemists building in the southwest too often, at least. So sometimes that's a bit indicative kind of who's having a good game and who's having a tough game. Like it's not always a be all end all, but if you just take a quick glance at a board and you kind of see who's building in the normal spots, that tells you maybe sometimes who's doing well. And I think in this game it is kind of indicative of who's doing well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. This does not look like a normal like positioning of buildings from anyone else except nomads. And nomads, this is about as normal as it gets, honestly, right? This is what you expect and hope for in every game, is like getting these towns. So yeah, they really have, like, they've been the ones kind of with the upper hand here, like putting the pressure on the right players at the right times and keeping bonus tiles out of people. They've made a couple clever plays to like, to keep the passing bonus tile out of the alchemist hands in round 5, to cut off alchemists with their stronghold. So I think, yeah, being in a position to be the one like deciding, like they're the ones deciding like what they give other players. They could dig a hex to green if they wanted, if they felt like they wanted Orin to do better on network than alchemist, right? And like they're in that position of power, and that's like always good to be in that position, and that's what the stronghold gives them.
So I'm gonna look at this again and gonna say, is there any chance we're overestimating nomads here? Looking at the scores right now, they're at 106 points. They don't have much else to do. Maybe advanced shipping. They don't have any more trading posts available, so they couldn't even build a trading post right now if they wanted to score more points. Obviously they have no pass tile. They're getting 4 points from the cults. So I don't want to do too much math, but it looks like they'd finish in the mid 130s. Is there any way that other factions are doing better than that we're just not seeing?
I guess so. I mean, the problem is that
I don't know now.
No one's over 100 right now. I guess alchemists seem like they could be pretty close just because they have a passing tile and a town still coming. and they do have Air 1. And then Orin, yeah, I mean, Lizzie told us that Orin think they're in good shape, and I kind of trust all the players on Team Europe. So like, if they're saying they're in good shape, like I don't know, they must be in good shape.
And they certainly have a lot of resources to do more stuff with, whatever that may be.
Yeah, they're at 3 shipping, so they can get out a few more. Oh
wow, I didn't even see that Hex was still up. Oh, I think
so
the US dug it black. Yeah,
dug it to black, and I think that they. So we didn't talk about that, but I was wondering why they dug it to black. My original thought was they probably have some spare workers. The thing that they need is coins. And so my thought was that they were just, if you dig with a worker when your stronghold's up, you can essentially turn a worker into a coin. So rather than like turning a worker into a coin just by converting it, if you're going to have spare workers at the end of the game, maybe you just, do a dig with it. To make life rough for other people. So I guess that is what they're doing, is they were making life rough for Orin by changing that hex to black. But looks like Orin took the double dig, and so it's just messing them up a little bit. But it looks like Orin are still going to be able to get out a few more buildings here. The fact that they have this 3 shipping is going to make it pretty likely for them to tie or beat Alchemists on network, I think.
Whoa, yeah, that's a huge hex. I don't know why. I don't know if I never saw that hex being open or what, but like I didn't think about the options for Orin to take that hex. That gives them so many expansion options. They have 3 green hexes potentially. Alchemist could dig some of them away, but they have at least one they can jump onto from that. Yeah, all of a sudden network's in play. Like I think they can get to 14 structures probably without disruption. Maybe even 15 is probably pushing it, but yeah, well, okay, I did not see that at all. That changes quite a bit, I think.
That is crazy. Yeah, I saw this that they were going to be able to expand into the southeast. That there's a green hex there they can get to with 1 dig.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is pretty crazy. And Alchemists actually looking. So Alchemists, I think what they want to do is triple dig and build a dwelling on that red hex, build a trading post, and then build 1 more dwelling. I think that's how they're going to finish out their town. And so that means they need 7 workers for that, which means they don't have a worker to spare anymore to like mess with these Orin hexes. So yeah, like Orin are going to be able to, like, as I think Orin do have the resources now also to like build a couple trading posts and then at least a couple more dwellings. So yeah, suddenly Orin, I think, yeah, it's very likely that Orin tie or even beat Alchemists in network. That's a huge swing. That's really good for Europe and really bad for Alchemists.
Yeah, my mind is blown here. I'm definitely seeing what it's like I'm being a commentator and trying to kind of see everything happening at once and trying to like think of what to say and whatnot. Because like I feel like I'm blindsided by that. I did not see this Orin kind of big network push coming. Yeah, I'll be curious to see the chat after if everyone's calling us out the whole time for not seeing it. I don't know.
I mean, they knew they're gonna have leftover resources, but yeah, this is a lot of green hexes. I think it's also just you're not used to that blue hex just being open to take at the end of the game.
No, it's usually pretty popular one way or another. Like someone usually wants that. I mean, Alchemist maybe can still. They build a dwelling. I said maybe they can still afford to disrupt because they're getting power with every dig as well. So maybe they'd have another worker through that. But they also want that power for their own coins for victory points themselves too. So maybe it's not worth it. I don't know. But well, they built a dwelling there. So if they are disrupting, they're not rushing it. That's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, with Orin winning 3 cults, well, really good, and getting points in the other cult as well, getting good network points. Like they're still getting points for building these dwellings and trading posts, whatever they do, because they have Earth 1, Water 1. Points are still rolling in for them. Yeah, maybe Team Europe had a good reason to be optimistic in hindsight.
Yeah, this is like, they're getting lots of Earth 1 points. Yeah, if they can squeak out 12 network points on top of the fact that they're getting, I don't know, probably 28 cult points, that's the way that they win this, right?
Yeah.
Although, I mean, to be fair, like Canada has 110 points. That's a lot. They're up by 30 right now on Orin, and they're winning network. So that's a lot of points there. And then Alchemists still have a town coming in, and they're also going to get a handful of cult and network points at the very least. So I don't know. I think it's going to be pretty tight between the 3 of them. And I do think Cultists just, their end game is going to be so much lower than everyone else's with no network points and only 1 cult win.
Yeah, it's funny because at the beginning of the game, like we were so high on Cultists, and then at the end of the game, it's kind of like starting to fall flat a bit for them. Yeah, and then I'm thinking back to myself, I was so harsh on Orin. I was like, Like I thought they were pretty done in the middle of the game, and you're kind of seeing them explode now. So the tables have turned, or at least they have to me. Things have changed quickly, that's for sure.
So it looks like Nomads. I think it was Nomads that just did it. Did they get in on the action and dig a green away? Yeah, Nomads just spent 3 workers to dig a green hex away from Orin. So that's actually, the fact that Nomads are getting in on this game. Yeah, like they're seeing Orin as a threat and preferring. What they said is like, I'd rather like contribute to this cause of not letting Orin build more dwellings than I would like have a point. And that basically can only mean that they think Orin is a big threat to them. Otherwise, they'd much rather have that point on the rest of the table.
Yeah, it's an interesting trade-off. I mean, I wonder if they calculated that Orin can get to 15 structures with that open hex, because they have to build 2 trading posts and do 2 dwellings. Yeah, I mean, if they got a little leech, maybe they could. It wouldn't be completely out of the question. They don't think they have the resources for it now. It doesn't matter now anyways. Obviously, they don't have an extra hex to build on. But maybe they did calculate that, because obviously if they tied Canada to network too, that'd be a pretty big swing.
Yeah, if they were able to get down 2 more trading posts and 2 more dwellings, yeah, I'm not sure if they had the stuff for that, but yeah, that would have been tying Canada, which would be insane. Like we did not think Nomads were going to have any competition for network this game.
No, I thought it was home and they're in the clear for network for sure. Yeah, I guess a lot can change, I guess, throughout a game. It's a good example of it.
Yeah. So yeah, we are seeing US just finishing out carving this town. They have exactly enough stuff to like not have to do any more coin conversions. So yeah, US is gonna finish out this town. They're gonna have a great score. I think they're passing for 9. They're still getting another town.
Yeah, they're definitely competitive for sure. In the mix. Yeah, no, I'm impressed with the game because like it's, as we were talking about earlier, like it can be tough to play Alchemist if you don't have things going well for you, like optimally. Like if you don't have an obvious connection path for network or for winning network in general, if you don't have if you don't get early leech, which they kind of got starved a bit from leech at the beginning, and so like seeing how they definitely had some difficulties. And even with like despite those, they managed to play a pretty good game. And they'll score quite well because of it. So yeah, you definitely see kind of the skill in Team USA, which I'm kind of like don't like having to say, but it's true. No, like you can kind of see like the talent kind of come to play here and see them create a pretty good game plan in this game. It's also interesting, like we see Nomads passing now too. Of course, they're getting those Air 1 points, which maybe will make a difference in this game. I'll be curious to see in the end score if it matters or how much it matters. And of course, Team USA has that as well, so they'll have probably 4 points coming in from Air 1 at the end here, which will be nice. Yeah, and we're starting to see things slowly wrap up. I guess, I mean, Cultists still aren't that close to passing, so there's still some more actions left, but things are starting to wind down. Yeah, with Canada having passed. US is going to be ready to pass pretty soon. I guess they can probably get 1 more dwelling out before passing, and then that'll be it.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about USA here is that the fact that it took them so dang long to get to this other town meant that they didn't get, one of the high point towns in the game. So I think that's a bit of a bummer. They would have they have no need for these last 2 workers, I don't think, but they would have much rather preferred 11 points, but that was obviously gone by now.
Well, they do need the workers to build a dwelling here, right? And that would tie Orin and network.
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Unless Orin can get down their last dwelling, which I don't think they can. Or like unless Orin can build a trading post in dwelling, which doesn't seem feasible. So it will be some points for them at least.
Yeah,
so do you think, big question here, do you think that Alchemist Town in the southwest or whatever that is that a cool town? Is that part of the club?
That's cool. That's a pretty cool town. Like you said, you don't see that one every day.
Yeah, I don't. I think it is too. I think of all the towns, that's probably the coolest one in this game. Although there's definitely some wacky towns, but that one in particular stands out.
Yeah, Nomads didn't really do anything that cool. You just played a good game, like, I mean, if you play a good game, but it's not cool, I don't know.
That's true. It's kind of unfortunate.
How do you feel about that as a Canadian? Like, do you like that Canada played a good game, or would you rather them done something cool?
I mean, I'd rather they win, first and foremost. So you know what? If they win,
that's fair.
I'll take it. But if you can win with a cool game, that's even better. And so, I mean, I guess that's bonus points, I guess. It's fitting for Canada. It sums up like what the stereotypes are for the country, that we're like humble and nice and, well, I don't know about nice. The stronghold was kind of disruptive, but like humble and not too flashy. That their game plan reflected that. So maybe they got influenced by their own hype video and kind of just wanted to represent Canada as a whole with their game plan. Maybe that was their whole idea here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they like the mildly flashy thing about it is the fact that they did it without Earth 1, right? They opened with a dwelling rush, a semi-dwelling rush into no Earth 1. Like, so the end result kind of makes it look like a normal game. They won network and they got 3 towns and stuff. But I guess the way to get there was kind of interesting. You don't usually see a Nomad's game plan where they just go in, like with a no Earth 1 plan. It seemed like they just never had any intention of taking Earth 1. They had plenty of opportunities to take it, they just never did. But that part's cool. I'll give them credit for that.
Yeah, and it's really like looking back, it was a really gutsy call to not go Earth 1 in the low, like what we think is a low-scoring game for Nomads, which are like an economic faction, which don't have inherent scoring, which want ways to score. So it's like a really kind of interesting decision in hindsight to do that dwelling rush. You definitely see the fruits of it now. Like you see why they did it for sure. It's hard to say if it's better than taking Earth 1 or not. I mean, it's a completely different path, so you can't really judge that, I think. But like, yeah, it's definitely an interesting decision in a game that we thought there might be an Earth 1 rush, and there really wasn't at all because of this dwelling rush that Nomads did.
Yeah, that part still, like, I mean, blows my mind that Cultists just got everything they wanted. That they took an econ favor into Water 1 into later Earth 1. Like that was a good place where I think that they like making that risky decision paid off. They like Lizzie was telling us, they debated taking Earth 1 but thought they could get it later, and like taking that risk was, I think, obviously necessary for them. So yeah, good call by them there.
It's actually really, looking at the kind of the end game scoring, I won't go into too much math, but like Orin tying network is pretty big in terms of repercussions for Alchemists relative to Nomads. Like, and they're still really close. But if Alchemist had second on network cleanly, like it would, I don't know if they'd be ahead of Nomads or not. They do have a couple more cult points, I think. I think they have 2 more cult points, so pretty minor, but like in a game this tight, that still matters a bit. I mean, Nomads have a resource point. There's a lot of little things kind of here and there.
Yeah.
But with tying Orin and network, I think that's a bigger swing.
Yeah. The fact that we're able to get these done, it's actually like, Canada obviously did this because it was good for them too, but it's mildly favorable to USA that Canada blocked Orin from getting out another dwelling, because that would have been even worse for USA, right? Like if they got 3 fewer points because Orin was able to get out another dwelling. So yeah, they were lucky that Canada came in and helped out a bit there. The great tallying is happening now, though. This is exciting. Yes. I think this is going to come down to tiebreaker somehow. It just like in the overall standings, there's like all the everyone needed very specific situations to play out to like go into tiebreakers, and it seems like one of those might be happening. I
don't have anything to say. Just watching it's so entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, like Board Game Arena could have chosen to like just show you the end game score.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, boom, you passed, it's over. Like
Woo.
There you go. But instead, they chose for the drama, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, what a great decision by them. And yes, it looks like Canada will take it.
Canada takes the home field.
Nice.
And that's huge. If USA had 3 more points on network, like if Orin hadn't been able to tie them, that would have been a tie with Canada for first.
Yeah, what a swing that was. Wow.
Yeah, and like I said too, if USA had 1 more town, that would have been like easily, the margin over Canada there. So the fact that Canada like played so aggressively towards Team USA, blocking them from passing tiles at the right time, blocking them from their town, taking those hexes away, like that seems huge. That was like the winning line from Canada here, was to play aggressive towards USA, who was in the best position besides themselves.
Yeah, that really ended up being a really good decision, that round 3 stronghold in hindsight. That aggression. And yeah, definitely congrats to Team Canada. It's interesting seeing the scores in this game. They're definitely lower than previous games, but I think that's kind of to be expected with what we saw was a lower scoring setup. And so I think considering that, everyone scored pretty well still. And definitely gotta give props to Europe for that Orin game. as I said, I thought we thought they were in a really tough position, and they pulled it out and ended up making it into a really interesting and good game for them. So that was really cool to see as well, with a kind of unheralded, like a lesser known faction as Orin. And they managed to pull off a pretty good game plan with them. But in the end, I think the bidding on them was too much in hindsight.
Yeah. Wow, and we're just getting in from production. So because Canada won this game and USA finished second and Europe finished third, we went to a tiebreaker on points. So like Team USA and Team Europe are both ending with 13 points in the overall group stage standings. And so we're going to a tiebreaker, which is percentage of the winning score that you accumulated in all of your games. So if you win a game, that's obviously 100%. And if in the later game, the winning score is 100 and you score 92, you have 92% of the winning score. And we have production telling us that Europe wins the tiebreaker by 0.18 percentage points over Team USA. So like the narrowest of margins. So like literally Team Europe eking out a point or two at the end of this game might have been the difference between them winning the group stage versus USA. And so congrats to Team Europe. They will go into the finals next week as the overall group winner. They'll be picking the format and the time of the finals. So yeah, huge congrats to them.
Yeah, it doesn't get any closer than that. That's crazy. That's a nail biter, I guess, for that. And I'll be curious to see if they end up picking the same map and format as they did, because they won their home map earlier in this tournament. So we'll see if they repeat back to that or if they change it up and try something different.
Mm-hmm. But to take nothing away from Canada, though, Canada did what they had to do. Canada came into this week knowing that they had to win to have a shot at taking the home field advantage, and they did that. Like they did everything that was in their control to do. So huge shout out to them for playing this great Nomads game, making Chris Ho proud. I'm sure the Canadian Nomads lover himself.
Yeah, they did what they had to do. They took care of business at home, which in sports they always say that sometimes in a playoff series you got to take care of business at your own home, and they did that. So they're in a perfectly good position as well going into the final game. Really all four of these teams, no question, have the ability to win this last game coming up. So it'll be fascinating to watch, that's for sure. It'll be a thriller.
Yeah, so we're bringing Danny B on right now, the winning pilot for Team Canada. You there, Danny?
Hey, Eric. How are you?
Hey, how's it going? Congrats on the win.
Thank you. It was a super fun game.
Yeah. Awesome game plan by Nomads. You left us guessing at a lot of points about exactly what was going on, but it turned out to be like a really sweet, clean game plan. Like it seemed like, this was kind of your vision from the beginning. Like we were saying, it seemed like Nomads had by far the least, disrupted about their game plan. Is that how you felt as you were playing? Like this was just kind of your dream from the beginning?
Yeah, because we saw the opening to get the TP for the runnings with the temp ship, and we thought that with Alchemist and Cultist who might want to upgrade ships early because the ship VP tile is the only one there, we thought that it was important to forego Earth-1 in order to secure territory in the north and just conduct our plan of getting 3 towns robustly and maybe a 4th town if it comes up. We thought about it briefly, but it wasn't really possible. But having reaching the north on the first round and settling there had a lot of value, I think. So that's why we went for that. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, Lizzie came on the line and gave us the the insight that you were hoping for 4 towns, and we were sitting here going like that's a good hope. Like you keep hoping that, Danny.
That was amazing to get 4 towns there. So I'll say congrats as well. I mean, I'm Canadian as well, so I'm thrilled you guys pulled it off and you guys did it for Team Canada. You held serve at home. I was curious to ask about the stronghold round 3. Did you know kind of when you had Nomads at the start of the game, you're going to build your stronghold round 3 and that you're going to be disruptive to Alchemists doing that? Because that ended up being a big swing in the game, is when you dug away Alchemist's town hexes in the west. So was that part of your game plan all along, or is that something you kind of figured out on the fly, I guess?
We always thought about the stronghold round 3. The only way we thought about not getting a stronghold round 3 is maybe through a sanctuary, but that really didn't hold any value because there's a sanctuary round anywhere around 5, and so it made more sense to build it there because the stronghold gives a lot more value throughout the game than the sanctuary. I mean, in that particular game. And I think we needed the stronghold to carve out our 3 towns pretty solidly, because we needed at least one sandblast on the south for the bridge down, and we probably needed one on the north because alchemists were rushing in through the north on the brown, and so that leaves us with the red A6 and expensive digs. So we deemed it necessary to do the stronghold line, and blocking alchemist I think was an extra. We for sure, because we liked alchemists and nomads the better in the auction. I think we always thought that we were hovering between the two, and so blocking we deemed that alchemists were our closest competition. So that's why we did what we did, and I think it turned out an okay move. So yeah.
I mean, you won by 3 points, and if alchemists were allowed to like have some of that territory make a third town, like that's clearly more than a 3-point swing. So
yeah.
In the moment,
exactly.
we were predicting, a sanctuary or Earth 1 or something, but it clearly seems like the stronghold was the right play.
Yeah, I think so too. Yep.
What about that? Passing up on Earth 1, like was that you said you wanted to do that trading post opening, but like you had plenty of opportunities to take Earth 1, and we were wondering, like, you and Cultist just kind of, it seemed like, kept playing chicken, like who's gonna go for the Earth 1, and
I think
you ended up being okay passing on it. It seems like.
I think that it was Zoras who pointed this out in our group chat. He said that at this point, Earth 1 and Water 1 were approximately the same number of points for us. But taking Earth 1 actually puts more pressure on our closest competitors, which are alchemists, because of the Water 1 rush. So if we take Water 1 early on, then there's only 2 copies left. And what did end up happening? What alchemists did miss out on Water 1, right? So we viewed it as equal in terms of points to us, Earth 1 or Water 1, but Water 1 creates more pressure on our adversary. So that's why we chose to do that.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you saw in the end, like, alchemists would have loved to have Water 1. They got started out of Water 1, and they had a really good game, but they couldn't quite kind of, I guess, get the points they wanted to without Water 1. I was curious about, like, I think one move that was really good that you guys did was passing early in round 4 for the ship scoring tile in round 5. I think especially because of, I guess, the bonuses in play and that being the only scoring bonus, that was really important. Was that something you had in mind kind of at the start of that round, that you wanted to pass early onto it?
Well, we were playing the round 5. We took round 4. We thought about doing a ship upgrade, a trading post, and another dwelling, just to milk an extra 2 points. But we decided that as the round was going on, a thought occurred to us that hey, that's the only scoring tile, and it's open, and we might have a shot at having a super long round the following round if we pass on it more quickly, and that way we can deny a bridge. Also, we create more bridge pressure because we're taking the bridge first action, and we might hope to outstall everyone else. But in the end, alchemists got it, which was super well played by them. But that was the main reason, is because we wanted to sit on the only bonus tile, and that was the good opportunity for us to take it. We had the resources to upgrade our ships, etc. So yeah, that was the reasoning behind that. Exactly.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense. And I mean, in this kind of game too, getting any kind of points off that ship pass tile was pretty critical in what was a low scoring setup in the end. So yeah, at least in my opinion, that and the stronghold kind of blocking alchemists were 2 of the defining moves, I guess, for you guys this game.
Yeah. These were the most important, the most clutch decisions, I think, that steered us towards the win, definitely. Also, at the end, I think there was the opportunity for us to. We were wondering if alchemists would block Nomad Oren. I think maybe they should have built the dwelling on E4, probably, for their own game. Perhaps I'm not sure if that was the case or not, but we were hoping they would, because we could have upgraded digs instead of upgraded shipping, and but we had to block Oren, I think, from getting a stronger network. But yeah, that was another interesting move, I think.
Yeah, they forced you into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, congrats on the win. Yeah, awesome. Like,
yep.
You defended your home field turf. That's super cool to see. And
it's pretty nice to win. Yeah, it's pretty nice to win on your home game. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
And advancing to the finals next week. See you there.
Yep.
Yeah, super,
Yep.
super excited.
Exactly.
It's going to be a really fun game. If this week's any indication, next week's going to be even more fun. So,
Yep.
yeah. Congrats again to you and the whole rest of Team Canada. So.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Have a good rest of the day.
Yeah, you too. See ya.
Yeah, you too. Great game.
So thanks to everyone for sticking around. And I've been misspeaking like literally this entire time when I said next week. It's 2 weeks from now. Tune back in to the finals of the International Clash. You'll be seeing this exact same lineup again. Team USA, Team Canada, Team Europe, and Team Asia. Duking it out on the map and at the time of Europe's choosing. It's been a sweet regular season so far. We've seen some really awesome games, and I'm looking forward to playing in the finals and being there. This side of the mic's fun, but playing in the game's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to watch it too. It's gonna be really exciting. I'll be cheering on Canada from the sidelines, so you guys have my moral support. I'm sure your confidence is sky high for this game today, though. Really well played, and yeah, no, I can't wait to watch the finals. Anyone can win.
Nice. Yeah. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We'll see you all back here in 2 weeks. And yeah, thanks for watching The Fire 2 Open. See y'all later.
See you guys.